What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode 122 for your Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York, as always, coming to you live tonight with the one and the only, he ain't no Brockmaster, Solid Monster. What's going on, brother?
No, sir. There's no slipping and falling on my ass here, not on TNT. I'm sitting right in this chair. There's no stormtrooper helmet that's going to go flying off my head or anything like that. I will tell you, that is one of the best moments on any wrestling show all year last night. And I never expected it would involve Brock Lesnar.
What does that say about this year, bro?
Well, it says a lot about this year, but I never would have expected that Brock Lesnar would be a part of that moment. But it's weird, like, you know, he comes back and first he splits his pants and he's wearing like blue underwear. That's on SmackDown. Now he's falling on his ass on Raw. I didn't think that he would be the comic relief on these shows, but that's what it's turned into.
It's almost like a punishment for what happened to him, you know?
No, they're not punishing Brock. At least he literally rolled with it. He rolled right back up to his feet. He turned Braun Breaker into a hat rack and he went about his way.
Listen, if you can't laugh at yourself, who are you going to laugh at? You know?
That's it. I mean, what are you going to do in a situation like that, right? You could be pissed off about it, or you can just laugh it off.
I laughed my ass off at Brock falling, and I said on social media, I never in 20 plus years have I seen Brock Lesnar fuck up his entrance. Like, was the floor slippery? Was he wearing a different kind of cowboy boot?
He's wearing cowboy boots. Like, you know, that's always a risk. Hogan wore cowboy boots. If you go back and watch, Hogan wore cowboy boots to the ring for the big Bash at the Beach turn. And I think so he claimed, like, he realized as he was on his way to the ring, like, oh shit, I'm wearing cowboy boots. I better be careful here.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Speaking of Hogan,
did you see the meme? Did you see the meme online of the Sub-Zero meme?
I did.
Oh, that's so perfect. That's so perfect.
Yes, we'll talk about the Brockmaster and what happened on Monday Night Raw. Bro, what is this news, man? Are the Mets trading Nimmo? What's going on there? Did it happen already?
I don't think so. I mean, I've been out of the loop today, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man.
I just seen this today. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on there? Yeah, Brandon Nimmo, I thought he was a Mets favorite.
He was. I mean, I've been a little out of the loop today, but you know, they're making moves. They're trying to strengthen the team. I question whether or not it's actually doing that, but moves have to be made after what happened this season.
Yeah, I know. Those are the wrong moves, though. That's the move that's not going to make the team better, I don't think.
Well, getting Alonso back should be key.
Yes, that should be the first order of business.
That's the priority.
Or maybe firing the head coach. I don't know. One or the other.
They're not doing that. They made that very clear. They're not doing that.
Oh, well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with baseball, man. We got a lot to get through before we get to MLB. But tonight, it looks like it's a light night. We're going to talk about Full Gear. We're going to talk about the ins and outs of what I thought was a ridiculous bloodbath for no real good reason. And I've been very vocal about the usage of blood in the most extreme ways on these shows. I have always been a less is more type of individual, and Tony Khan seems to be a I don't give a fuck is more type of guy. So we will definitely go over that.
Tonight, JD?
Maybe. I don't know. Depends how this coffee feels.
You got your blade? Is it under your wrist tape? You got it ready?
No, I don't want to see any color on this show.
I think when we get to the AEW portion of things, I think that you should just like kind of duck off camera real quick, and I'll cover your ass for about 10 seconds, and then when you come back, just like blood is just pouring down your face.
You're giving me an idea for next year's Halloween costume. I'll just go as an AEW sicko. I'll just do that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We'll get into that. Tony Khan actually has spoken of the length of these shows as well, because he was definitely, I don't know who asked him, but good on that individual for asking him at the post-show media scrum about the length of these shows, because I was hearing from people that it was very difficult to get out of the building and find transportation on the way home. And, you know, it's just a Saturday night's fine, but I think the way to go about it is maybe doing the show at 7 p.m. and not 8 p.m. and giving people a reason to get out of there an hour earlier. Well, or maybe book fucking 7 matches and not 14. But, I mean, I'm not the one booking the show.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I can remember the last WrestleMania I went to was in New Jersey. It was WrestleMania 35. Yeah. And that main event ended with the women. It ended after midnight. and there were major issues with people getting out of the stadium, and that was the stadium over there.
Yeah, and that was
And they
what,
had
60,000, 70,000 people?
somewhere like in that range. Yeah, it was MetLife, and there were people complaining that they were stranded and things weren't running because they kind of after a certain hour, I guess people went home. So yeah, that could I don't know if that's a New Jersey thing, but that's the second time now I guess something like that has happened.
Yeah, we'll definitely go over what he said. He says he listens to the criticism, so if there's anything to listen to, that should definitely be a top 3 for Tony Khan to listen to. Survivor Series is this weekend. We'll give you a nice little preview and predictions. Not much, being that Triple H has only booked 4 matches for this show, and normally he does about 5. If he's feeling a little froggy, 6. But last year we got 5, and this year we're getting 4. So that means that the War Games matches could be going a little bit longer this year to kind of offset the lack of matches.
Well, I mean, this is WWE that we're talking about here. You don't have to make the War Games matches any longer. You just put some more, commercials and packages in between, make the entrances longer. I mean, dude, the entrances for the men's War Games match alone, I mean, at least 20 minutes.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, look who's in the match, right? Everyone's going to Roman's going to come out, and Cody's got to do his entrance, and Brock hopefully won't fall this time, and everyone's going to get their entrance, and that's like a match all by itself.
What you're saying is I'll have enough time to make myself a coffee, finish it, make another one, and the match still won't be underway.
We take notes during these shows. The best part, seriously, like the best part about these cards when they're this short is there's so much filler in between the matches that as a content creator who's going live immediately after the show, I can get all caught up on my notes. It's like, okay, at least there's some benefit to it for me.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, it's exactly how I look at it. Like if I'm falling behind, I'm like, all right, who cares? As soon as this match is over, it's going to be 25 minutes before the next one starts.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. Survivor Series this weekend, and we got some AEW news and notes. We'll go over the Penta injury on Raw last night, which I thought was kind of a lame duck go home show. But what is WWE going to do? They got nothing else left to do. They got an all-star game inside that men's War Games match. But we'll talk about that because I was very critical of the fact that there really isn't anything tangible on the line in said all-star game for WWE. So we'll get into that. And we got a couple of interesting quotes from Mr. Bret the Hitman Hart, and we'll go over that as well. I saved that for tonight just to see how you guys feel about that. He doesn't give a shit. I kind of actually like this version of Bret. No filter, Says anything he wants with no repercussions.
It's not really a version, though. It's Bret.
Old man Bret.
But he's always been that way.
I know. And we'll get into that. I did leave you guys a poll at the top of the live stream chat. Who's going to win the men's War Games? Have a little fun with that right now. It is Team CM Punk leading with 51% and the Vision 49%. I think the Vision's going to win the match. How else are we going to get CM Punk in a World Championship title contender? It's got to come out of that match, I would assume, right?
Well, he's gonna need challengers. You would think whoever it's going to be is going to come from someone on that team.
Logan Paul.
They were building to that, from the moment they brought Logan back all those weeks ago. Logan comes back, he usually loses to whoever the champion is, right? He's already lost to the other two guys, right? Roman and Cody and Punk are all in this match. Logan's already been beaten by Roman a couple of years or 3 years ago. He lost to Cody. So the only one left for him to lose to now is Punk.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I think we go Breaker Punk and we get Breaker as the world champion. That's my hope for that one, but we'll definitely get into that. Thank you guys again for joining us tonight. You guys killed it last week. We did near 40,000 views on what has been an off season really for all pro wrestling, but you guys still show up big for Tuesday night, and we very much appreciate that. If you guys want to get in those super chats, that's the best way to support what Jason and I do here on Tuesday night. So please get those in. Any questions, comments, concerns, opinions, jokes, whatever you may have, get them on in. We'll hang out at the end of the show. Follow us on social media. Everything you need is linked down below in the description, not only for social, but for YouTube. So please go and make your way over to Jason's channel and his social media. It's going to be a busy week. Like I said, Survivor Series, we will both be live for that on Saturday night. Should be a very interesting night and hopefully a newsworthy one. And as always, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. Both of those things greatly help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And like you guys have done every single week, you killed it. So keep that up and leave a comment down below. And let's try for a modest goal tonight of 800 likes. Let's try and do that for the Titans here on Tuesday. All right, man. Where are we going? What do you want to talk about?
I know you kind of piqued my interest there with the Bret stuff. I'm kind of inclined to start there.
Oh, boy.
Flip the script here and start with some very interesting kind of fun stuff here before we dive right into the real news and meat of the week.
All right. Well, Bret is a man that does not hold back in any sense. Yes, he does not. He does not. He was speaking with the Johnny I Pro Show, and he went over a couple of topics. The first one we'll dive into here is he says he has a hard time watching today's wrestling. He can't really watch it because he says it's too fake for him. So he used the F word here, which I know we as fans don't like to see other people use the F word, but he had no problem using that here. He says, and I quote, he went on to explain, first of all, that when he watches past matches, including obscure Stampede wrestling matches, he appreciates the emphasis on realism. He highlighted the execution of punches and kicks, as well as the overall presentation, which he feels placed a greater burden on the workmanship and craft of being a pro wrestler. He says, I'll be honest, I have a hard time watching today's wrestling. I just really can't watch it. It's too fake for me. But I love watching the old 90s wrestling. I really do. When I watch my matches back, his matches, or put in almost any match, even obscure Stampede wrestling matches, there's something about the realism, the punches, the kicks, and even just the way the presentation is. It just seems to me to be the workmanship of learning the craft of being wrestlers. He just enjoys that aspect of it. And he went on to go and talk about the current generation of talent. He categorized many modern performers as actors who are merely playing the role of wrestlers. Hart specifically pointed out a reliance on high spots over basic maneuvers like headlocks. I think today's wrestlers are actors. Most of them are actors pretending to be wrestlers, and they don't actually know how to wrestle, and they don't know what a headlock is. Everything is a high spot. Everything is high spots. I want to get my move in. I always thought wrestling needed to actually pretend to be wrestling. I miss the wrestling aspect and the psychology of the 60s and 70s wrestling, the presentation of trying to, pretending that it's a real sport. And he went on to cite Ricky Steamboat as a prime example of the style that he admires. Before I give it to Jason, all I will say is I don't really have much to say on that. I absolutely agree with Bret that everything today is a high spot. Everything's a fucking kick out. You're seeing moves that were once upon a time done in a way where you knew it was over. Like Jake hit the DDT, you knew it was over. Undertaker hit a tombstone, you knew it was over. Hogan hit the leg, you knew it was over. Savage the elbow drop, you knew it was over. Today, bro, you see Canadian destroyers and people kicking out.
Unless he was in there with Hogan.
Yeah, well, yeah, the whole politics of it. But, you see like a hidden blade by Ospreay and guys just get right back up and they do moves back and forth to each other, and then there's a double down or a kick out at a one or off of something like that. I don't necessarily disagree with him that everybody today is more of an actor than they are a professional wrestler, but the realism of it is very hard to find someone like that, which is why I personally admire guys like Gunther and Dragunov and Sheamus and Rusev and guys like that. It's still a very brute, hard-hitting style when they're in the ring, and I think everybody that they're in the ring with is a lot better off for it because those guys, to me, are the embodiment of pro wrestling.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because in the same interview and in other interviews also, Bret, my sense from listening to Bret is he really does not like people who lay their shit in. So he is not a fan of Gunther. He is not a fan of Sheamus. I felt bad for Sheamus when he singled him out in this interview as having terrible punches. And he said that Sheamus, who's been doing this for 15, 16 years, ought to go learn how to throw a punch. Because he's not the one I would have singled out if I had that criticism. And I do think that it's a lost art in wrestling these days, throwing like a work punch. But you could tell just what his likes and dislikes are. He does not like that style where these guys go in there and they lay it in and they have these clubbing blows and you got welts all over your body and black and blue bruises, because in his mind, and I understand it, the real art of wrestling is giving the illusion that you're hurting the other person, but in reality, you're not harming a hair on their head. And that's the real art. If you can master that where it looks realistic and it looks, oh my God, this guy's taking a beating here. But really, when he goes back, to the locker room, he's not beat up. He's not any more sore than any wrestler would be. And that's the wrestling that he was taught. That's the wrestling that he grew up on. And I get it. I understand it. Me personally, as much as I love, Bret and what he brought to the table in that style of wrestling, I could appreciate a match with a Drew McIntyre and a Gunther and a Sheamus. Like there's like different flavors of ice cream, and it's okay to like more than one flavor. So it's very, very clear Bret is not a fan of that style because he has singled these people out before. Like even Gunther, like he's gone in on him before. Like he doesn't know how to wrestle. This guy just goes in there and he just hits people and chops. He hates chops, so of course he hates Gunther. Bret despises chops.
Well, it is a crutch to many people. It is overexposed.
It is, but even as a Bret Hart fan, like I could sit here and tell you, like I could point out the inconsistency sometimes in his criticisms or when he's being a hypocrite, because some of the people that he praises, like Kurt Hennig, like he loved Kurt Hennig. It's probably his favorite opponent to work with. Always says positive things about Mr. Perfect. We love Mr. Perfect. But you go back and watch Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect did plenty of chops in his matches, even in the matches he had with Bret. But he never points that out. Like he'll always say, when I worked with Ric Flair, I told him one chop. You're allowed one chop. He didn't know how to wrestle beyond the chops. Like, all right, like I don't know about that. Even in what you just said, where he's talking about high spots and it's like, big moves like that. In the same interview, he literally said that he would consider Rey Mysterio to be the greatest wrestler of all time. And Rey's great, but Rey wasn't necessarily grabbing a headlock, when the match started in his matches. So there's inconsistencies. Bret has his personal likes and dislikes. There's a lot of what he says about old school wrestling that I agree with. Like if you go back and watch, and I was watching some of it today even because on the Vault channel on YouTube, they've been doing like a Survivor Series marathon.
Yep.
So I was watching some stuff from like 88 and 89 earlier. But even in like the 90s, depending on who was in the ring, it felt like more of a real struggle. And Bret was the master at that, taking a beating and selling. And it really felt like, man, this guy's in there in the fight of his life. And then they would fight back. And he also talked about punches. And that's absolutely, I pointed that out before. Like, at what point did people stop learning how to throw a good worked punch? Like, did they just stop teaching it? Like, there were very few people who I would say, if I'm watching them now, where it's like, oh wow, man, that punch looked good.
Now that you mention it, I can't even pinpoint anybody that I look at saying, man, that was a good fucking punch. I can't pick anybody.
I'm not saying that there aren't wrestlers out there. I'm just not thinking of them. Whereas before, I could pick them out, like whether it was Scott Hall or Jeff Jarrett or Bret Hart or Jerry Lawler or Steve Austin, even The Rock. I mean, it's hard these days because now everything is like the forearms. And the chops or like an open hand slap. And you can call it the evolution of wrestling. Things change, they evolve. To me as a fan, that's one of those areas where I think they've devolved. And I wish that there were more people who, in the course of a match would actually, throw punches that, looked realistic to the extent that any of this shit is realistic. I mean, if you want to go really hyper realistic, you throw one punch, the guy should have blood pouring out of his, fucking mouth. But he's right on some stuff, and on other stuff I think it's just a matter of personal taste, and I don't agree with it.
So you went on to say Bret tries to make it look real without actually harming a hair on somebody's head. But like if you look at Bret's work and you look at some of the stuff he did when he was Irish whipped into the corner, whether it was back first or chest first, I mean it looked like a fucking atomic bomb went off in the ring. That didn't hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you not harm somebody by doing that?
All right, you want to break it down like that. When you Irish whip someone, right, why are you running? When you whip somebody into the ropes, why are you running?
That's true.
Try to do that in a barroom brawl with somebody. Try to Irish whip them into the opposite side of the room. They're going to stop and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're going to punch you in the mouth.
Yep.
So like it's Bret who's building up that speed, right? He's part of the whole process here. And if you know what you're doing, I would imagine you know how to take that bump in a way that's going to, minimize the pain. I'm not saying that, look, wrestlers get hurt. They like it's impossible to be a pro wrestler and not be beat up and sore and hurt. I think what he's talking about is, when he would come backstage from a match, I don't think he had marks and welts all over his body and like bloody bruises. And I don't think he had to like ice himself down, take a fucking ice bath after every match that he had. It's just that stiffer style of working. And I don't know if that's something that just sort of was picked up from like the Japanese strong style. I'm sure there was a great influence as far as Japanese wrestling is concerned. And I never got the sense Bret was necessarily a huge fan of that. So, yeah, I mean, if you really want to get technical about it, like, and the Irish whip, Bret took it better than anybody, but a lot of it was on him. The person throws you, they propel you in that direction, but, you're the one really running and taking the bump because it's a ridiculous move to begin with, an Irish whip. Like nobody, in a real fight, nobody uses an Irish whip.
Now that you say it, it is kind
of
funny.
I mean, think about it. Like in any real fight, have you ever seen someone use it, successfully anyway, use an Irish whip? Like, no, it's the most ridiculous move, but it's such a basic move that if you've watched wrestling for any length of time, you don't even think about it. But if I showed a wrestling match to somebody who's never watched wrestling before, that might be one of the first questions they ask. Like, why is this guy running? Why is he running across the ring? Why doesn't he just stop and turn around and punch the other guy in the face? It's like, I don't know. It's just wrestling.
So like Jason said, he did mention Rey Mysterio, and he explained that his appreciation for Rey Mysterio stems from a lifelong passion for masked wrestlers dating back to his childhood when he idolized Mil Mascaras. And then he went on to say about Rey Mysterio is one of the greatest wrestlers, maybe the greatest wrestler of all time. Nobody can lace Rey Mysterio's shoes up. He was such a great wrestler and a great athlete, and he was just so good and such a smart wrestler and so amazing. I would have loved to wrestle Rey Mysterio. I would have to think a little. I'd have to have, he said he went on to say that he had to be a little younger than he is now, obviously. But, when I was in my late 20s, I would have loved to wrestle Rey. I would love to have really gone overboard with Rey Mysterio and tried to really just have a match that I've never had before. There you go. I mean, he appreciates Rey Mysterio. What else is there to say there? I mean, Rey is great, but is he the greatest wrestler of all time? I mean, you're not going to question Bret, who's one of the greatest of all time. If he thinks Rey is the greatest of all time, then he's got a certain reason to think that. So we do not agree there, though. He went on to bury Hulk Hogan, shocking, and Jake Roberts calling them pieces of shit. And he went on to
but tell us how you really feel. You know what this stems from? I'm almost positive. I didn't really start hearing Bret talking about Jake until Jake said something about Bret in a shoot interview. And all of a sudden, anytime Bret gets either asked about him or he just on his own brings him up, he has nothing complimentary to say about Jake Roberts. So I'm not saying he doesn't legitimately feel that way, but I don't really recall him being this outspoken about Jake until Jake said something about Bret.
Yeah, I was watching the 91 Survivor Series. You mentioned the Vault. I was in bed the other night watching the 91 Survivor Series. I got at least halfway through. I got through that horrible Nikolai Volkov and Duggan 4-on-4 match. I mean, holy shit, what an awful Survivor Series match that was. I didn't want to fast forward because I wanted to see how bad this really was with the Berserker and Hercules out there. But there was a promo on the stage with Mean Gene, with Savage, and then Jake. And then to start the show, they showed that whole snake bite angle that led into Tuesday Night in Texas.
Which is one of the great, honestly, like I just watched it again the other day because they uploaded something, Survivor Series Showdown, it's almost like a pre-show that must have aired on USA before Survivor Series that year. And they aired the entire incident over again. And it's like the greatest. It's like the greatest angle they've ever shot. Like, seriously, it's so like the reaction of horror on the fans' faces, and like the little kids crying, and Elizabeth crying at ringside, and the fucking creepy snake.
Bro, the way the snake would just sit in the ring, and it's looking. It's like it reminded me of a scene out of Jurassic Park with the raptors just looking around, like fucking very intent. You know, it's like
Jake is like hunched down on his knees, and the snake is like right in front of him, like like looking up, like this is creepy as
You
shit.
can't script shit like that, man. I said to myself, I audibly said, "Where's the fucking story like this nowadays?" I wish we got more of this.
Couldn't do. First of all, who would agree to get bitten by a snake? I don't care if it's devenomized or not. You know, he's like, oh yeah, I'll let the snake bite me on the arm.
Listen, man, all for the sake of storytelling. Why not?
You can do it if you want to.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
I'm afraid of snakes and bugs and all that nonsense, reptiles. But he mentioned that the reason why he called Bret did Hogan and Jake Roberts pieces of shit is he recalled a story with Roddy Piper. And he recounted a chaotic night where their friendship turned into an impromptu wrestling match in a hotel room. He recalled a night where him and Piper were drinking beer and suddenly began amateur wrestling on the floor, and the grappling session intensified to a point where furniture was being overturned. He says, we wrestled for about 45 minutes, tipping over beds, knocking things over. Security came in, and we were still wrestling on the rug. The bellman finally agreed that we would stop wrestling and fighting if he went downstairs to go get each of us another beer. So beyond the hijinks, Hart recalled Piper being one of the few top stars in that era that was willing to elevate younger talent. He specifically highlighted their match at WrestleMania as a pivotal moment in his career, and that was at WrestleMania 8. Hart contrasted Piper's selflessness with the other top names of the time, specifically Hulk Hogan and Jake the Snake Roberts, who he accused of being selfish. Roddy knew how to make a hero. Roddy was really the first guy to reach down and pull someone like me up to the next level and pass that torch. In contrast to guys like Jake Roberts and Hulk Hogan, who never passed the torch to anybody, all they did was take, two of the biggest pieces of shit in wrestling. So that's how he got to calling them, in this instance, two pieces of shit. And he kind of correlated that to how good Piper was to him and how he was to younger talent, elevating younger talent. So well, that was that with Bret and that story. And then the most damning of them all is he went on to, well, actually, there's a couple here. There's two more. He went on to mention that Brock Lesnar is a professional. Unlike Bill Goldberg, he went on to say, I have a hard time watching today's wrestling. It's too fake. And he went on to mention that again while getting into Dwayne Johnson. I would have loved to wrestle Dwayne Johnson. John Cena would be up there. I found John Cena very comparable or similar to me in the sense that he was a serious professional and that he was a detailed guy that went over every detail in the match. And he also took the opportunity to praise Brock Lesnar while taking a shot at Bill Goldberg when discussing heavyweights he would have liked to face. Hart noted that Lesnar is a safe worker, unlike the man who ended his career. Can
we stop for a second? Has Bret Hart ever seen a Brock Lesnar match?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think he's actually seen a Brock Lesnar match before. So, I mean, come on.
He says he would have loved...
The match would be nothing but him picking Bret up and throwing him over his head as high and as hard as he possibly can.
Yes.
Like, it's the exact type of thing that Bret is, like, railing about when he's going on these rants. But I just think any way he can stick it to Bill Goldberg, you know, and he's going to take that opportunity. Like, well, you know, Goldberg's the shits, but this guy's more of a professional than he ever was. So it's just funny to me. Like, I like listening to that going, has he actually watched a Brock Lesnar match? I don't think he has.
No. He says he would have loved to wrestle Lesnar. I've always heard from different guys that Brock Lesnar is a professional. He's not like Bill Goldberg. He knows what wrestling is all about, and he does it right. And some guys like Goldberg never understood it. I mean, listen, Lesnar's very good at what he does. He's an incredible sell, and Lesnar is very stiff. I would assume that Lesnar is everything that Bret doesn't like. If he was in the ring with Lesnar, I think he'll be leaving with welts and bruises and
yeah.
sores.
I think the match would have been fantastic.
Yeah,
they would have had a great match, just like Bret and Kurt Angle would have had a great match. And it would have been physical because even Kurt was a physical guy. You know, he was very intense. But like this all came up in the course of naming people that he never had the chance to work with that he would have loved to have worked with, and he threw poor MJF under the bus because somebody in the audience yelled MJF, and he's like, "Who?" And the host is like, "I don't know if they thought he was joking at first," and he goes, "No, I don't know who this person is." And I just laughed because he literally did a segment with him at the first Double or Nothing when he presented the championship. MJF came out during the segment and cut a promo. And Bret was in the ring listening and smiling and listening to the whole thing. but he's like, yeah, I don't know who this person is. Sorry,
it's kind of bizarre. You think Bret would appreciate someone like MJF's work as far as
he
the heel
doesn't
work.
watch wrestling. I believe him when he says that. Does he even know of MJF's work?
No.
He probably never laid eyes on him again after that night in 2019. You think Bret Hart is watching AEW?
No, he's not watching AEW.
No, he probably couldn't name anybody who works there.
And then this last piece here, he went on to claim Vince McMahon and Shawn Michaels were lovers during the 1997 rivalry. Now, this is dipping into the conspiracy theory listen, Bret wants to believe what he wants to believe. So
Bret is not I will just say this, Bret is not the first person to say this.
Listen, if we're being truthful here, I tend to maybe want to be on the side of Bret in this case, for sure. So during this same show, he went on and revisited the controversial events of 1997 and the Montreal Screwjob. While discussing this instance and the whole Montreal Screwjob, he made a startling claim regarding Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon's relationship. He suggested that the bond between the two men went beyond professional wrestling and preference, theorizing that they were romantically involved during the height of the Attitude Era. He reflected on the moment Shawn Michaels famously lost his smile and forfeited the WWF Championship in 1997. Hart noted that he and The Undertaker watched the segment on a monitor, skeptical of Michaels' knee injury, especially after Michaels performed a backflip in the ring moments later. Hart recalled seeing a tear roll down McMahon's cheek while watching Michaels. Very detailed, man. He's very detailed there. He recalled seeing a tear roll down McMahon's cheek while watching Michaels speak, a reaction that fueled Hart's suspicions about the true nature of their dynamic. He goes on to say, I think there's more going on here between these two guys. Honestly, I think Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon were sleeping with each other. I'm being dead serious. I think I'm very close to the truth here. Shawn and Vince were lovers. I got caught between two lovers and I got shafted and screwed over. And Shawn was so envious and jealous of my position that he finally had to sleep with Vince to get it. So he went on to detail the specific conversation that led to his refusal to drop the championship to Michaels at Survivor Series. And Hart explained that while he was willing to do business professionally, a conversation with Michaels in Anaheim changed his stance entirely, according to Bret. When he told Michaels he would be happy to put him over, Michaels responded by saying he would not be willing to do the same. I went to Shawn and said, hey, I heard you're wrestling, or we're wrestling at Survivor Series. I don't have any problem dropping the belt to you, Hart recalls. Shawn goes, I appreciate that, but I just want you to know that I'm not willing to do the same for you. That goes against everything in the wrestling business. I never drop the belt to anyone that has no respect for me. So, I mean, that's basically what we've heard throughout the years. But
yeah, that's a story that Bret has always been consistent about. And I always, like, whenever I end up talking about Montreal again, or I get a question about it, I always go back to that. I think that was the night, that was the moment that just fucked everything up. Because if we take Bret, what he says at face value, where he's like, I would be willing to do business and lose the belt to you at Survivor Series, which is, again, very different, if you think about it, than what his explanation was later on, where it's like, well, we're in Montreal. I can't lose the belt here. So a month or two earlier, he's saying that he would have had no issue doing it until Shawn shot back with that comment. And at that point, it's like, well, all right, if you're going to be a fucking dick about it, then fuck you. I'm not going to lose the belt to you.
yeah.
And that's where everything, fell apart. The stuff, again, nobody will ever know for sure. But I will say that there have always been stories out there. I know Road Warrior Hawk mentioned something in a shoot interview that he did. Scott Hall, multiple times in many shoot interviews, tells the story that back in 96, when he was working with Goldust, and he had a meeting with Vince, and they were talking about the program and what Vince wanted him to do. And, Hall was very uncomfortable about it. He's like, I'm not a homophobe, but Goldust would rubbing guys on the crotch and touching them. And it was part of this whole persona. And he said Kevin Nash was in the room with him. And Vince just goes, let me tell you about my first homosexual experience. And Hall is like, as opposed to your most recent homosexual experience? Like, I don't think I need to know about this. So, look, there's always been stories out there about Shawn and Vince. Shawn got away with a lot of shit that nobody else would have gotten away with. Maybe Hogan, when Hogan was at his peak and he was Vince's top guy. But the stuff that he was doing, like he would, like guys who were there backstage would say, like if Shawn was angry about something, he would just look Vince in the face and go fuck yourself, and he'd walk off. You think anybody else would get away with that?
No.
So he definitely had, special treatment. Whether or not that meant they were gay lovers, I mean, that's taking it to a different level. But there's always been murmurs that there was some weird relationship there between those two. And Shawn was definitely treated in a way that was different than anybody else in the company. And also Jim Ross. All right, I'll just mention this. Jim Ross, it must have been on his podcast years ago. He never outright came out and said anything, but the way he said it was kind of like, where he mentioned that when Shawn was out with the back injury, and he would have known, I guess, because he was dealing with the payroll. Like Vince was paying Shawn $750,000 a year. And he was sitting at home doing nothing. And I think JR was saying like they were looking to cut costs or shed some payroll. They needed to save some money. And he brought it up to Vince. He goes, we have Shawn's contract here on the books. He's making $750,000 a year. And Vince was just like, leave it alone. He's like, okay.
Okay.
You wouldn't have done that for anybody else?
No.
That's kind of strange. He's like, nope, leave it alone.
What about all the drug use? I mean, he was obviously, kind of troubled there, right? So he got away with that stuff too backstage, right? How many would get away with that stuff?
Not too many people.
No.
Not too many people. And I don't know, it's weird where it just feels like there was there was just a relationship there, whether it was, I don't know, something more along the lines of what Bret's talking about, or maybe more like a father-son thing. I don't know, where Shawn got the benefit of the doubt and he got a lot more leeway than almost anybody else would have. And he's talented. I mean, look, Shawn at his peak, even in 97, and he was, doing God knows what. I'll take 1997 Shawn Michaels in the ring and put them up against anybody.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
Like he was fucking amazing, even Bret. But he got away with a lot of shit, that other guys just would not get away with, even if they were a big name. And it just makes you wonder. But it's like people talk about Randy Savage and Stephanie McMahon, which I always thought was just, nonsense and like an urban legend. And it didn't help that Savage's own brother never outright refuted it, and that just fanned the flames. It's one of those like urban legends. Like, is it true? Is it not true? We'll never know for sure.
It certainly makes a good topic of discussion. You think Bret defected to WCW. I know Shawn kind of throughout the history and the stories that we heard saw Hall and Nash go, and he was maybe contemplating going as well. Vince would have had a mental breakdown if Shawn Michaels defected to WCW. How do you think that would have left him?
It would have left him in shambles. It probably would have, left him in the way that he was left when Savage left. I don't think he ever forgave Savage for that. But like Shawn wanted to go. He tried to get out of his contract in 97. They had that little fight in the bathroom where they were pulling each other's hair out like a couple of girls, and they had to be separated, and they got sent home. I remember that actually, because I think they actually went on TV that night and said they weren't there. They were unprofessional, and they're not here tonight or whatever. And Shawn, I just remember a story where Shawn met with Vince, and Shawn's dad was there with him. And they had a meeting with Vince, and he tried to get out of his contract because he wanted to go join his buddies in the NWO and WCW. And Vince was like, no, I've got you under like a 4-year deal. I'll just sit you at home. Like, you're not leaving. Like, it was not even a consideration, which I can understand, because why the hell would he let Shawn Michaels just walk out if he's got him under contract? Like, so that makes sense. But yeah, he tried to. If it was up to him, he would have left, and I think that would have been disastrous. I don't think Shawn Michaels would be alive today.
Well, I was going to say that. That was my next thing. I mean, Vince looked over him in those dark times. What would have happened to him over there? And would WWF even be around if Michaels defected? I mean, they probably would have went out of business. No.
No. They would have been. No, they wouldn't be out of business.
Okay.
They wouldn't be out of business, but yeah, I mean, it was just like he obviously had a lot of bad shit going on. He was going down a bad path. And I just think had he gone there, I think it would have just enabled those things that much more. And I really don't think he would be here today.
Yeah.
I think it was the best thing for him that he didn't go. And it's WCW. So realistically, even though he had friends there, would they have even known how to use him the right way? Can you imagine like Shawn Michaels in 97, the I won't lay down for anybody Shawn Michaels working in the same company with Hulk Hogan?
No.
Like, how would that have gone?
No.
That's not a battle Shawn would have won.
The legacy of his career would not be what it is today.
No. That whole second half of his career wouldn't have happened.
No.
Like, I believe that.
It's ridiculous, man. It's amazing to just think back about the history and the what ifs and what would have happened if a decision like that was made. But that was Bret Hart. And he's very open about the things he's passionate about. And it's always a good listen. It's always a good read. And it's always a good laugh. But, you know, there are things we agree with. There are things that we kind of look at him like, all right, crazy old man, go sit in your rocking chair and enjoy retirement. But we'll definitely touch upon anything else Bret says for sure. Full Gear. Let's get into some AEW talk here. This is going to be the chunk of the discussion here because this was a very long show. This was a very newsworthy show. We had several new champions crowned, and we got a pay-per-view that seemingly I am still feeling the effects from covering on Sunday morning, very late Saturday night.
Sucker.
I know. Well, Jason was in Chicago for House of Glory, and he opted to do the right thing and save it for the sound off on Sunday. But I want to start with this because one of the always criticisms of AEW and their pay-per-views is the length of these shows. And someone at the post-show media scrum after Full Gear was over asked Tony Khan about the length of these shows and why they go so long. He opened up to earlier start times for his AEW pay-per-views, and he was asked about this and says this, and I quote, "For Saturday night, I could see that," meaning, you know, the length of the show goes longer on Saturday because it's Saturday night, and he kind of compares it to like the UFC, and it's okay to get away with that type of thing on a Saturday night, where Sunday people got to go to work the next day, so he's going to look at it a little bit closely now as people are getting a little bit more keen to what's going on here. So he says he listens to the feedback, and to a point, after Dynasty in April, I said I probably on the East Coast wouldn't do a Sunday night like that again. Then we started doing, which worked really well, a lot of afternoon start times. I thought tonight was really great, and obviously there was a lot of captivated people throughout the night. I am interested. I thought having an epic pay-per-view with earlier start times was interesting also when the show, to your point, like, is on the West Coast. It's not as you can play with the start times a little bit more. Also, it will be interesting going back to Sundays because I look at Sundays and Saturdays a little bit different from each other. I go to boxing matches in MMA where the main event is not getting into the ring until 1 a.m. in the morning, and the cards are like several hours longer than the prelim with the prelims, and there's like 37 minutes between fights with video where the action doesn't pace the same. I really like it, but at the same time, I like the feedback. So after Dynasty last year or this past year in Philly, I was like, you know, I love the show, but I probably on a Sunday wouldn't do that on the East Coast. So, you know, he says this, and this has been a discussion for several years. I mean, he's dating back to last year's Dynasty. So it's like, bro, just move the show back to 7 p.m. instead of doing it at 8 p.m. I mean, WWE's got no problem doing 7 p.m. So I don't really understand why it's a problem to move the show 1 hour earlier. Now, I know he can't do earlier start times like a 2 or 3 p.m. every single pay-per-view. I mean, we would love it, but I don't think that's a realistic way to look at it. But the thing is, Jason, you know, on top of that, if he didn't want to change the start time, don't book fucking 13 matches and every match go 25 minutes. And you got an 8 p.m. start time, and the main event isn't going into the ring like we saw on Saturday night with Hangman and Samoa Joe inside the steel cage at 12:04 a.m. It's like, don't book 13, 14 fucking matches on the show where the show doesn't need 13 or 14 matches. But apparently, you know, I heard you mention this. I'll leave it to you to explain to everybody in case they don't know why he does these longer shows with as many matches as he does. I don't see it that way, but apparently the way he thinks is just, it's completely fucking out there, and he's got his own reasons.
Well, I mean, yeah, so there's two things. First, when he was on with Ariel Helwani last week, we got some insight into his mindset on this because he talked about how there were people who were paying for these pay-per-views, and he feels compelled to give them their money's worth. So he's going to give them basically as much wrestling as he possibly can. That's his mindset. That's how he approaches this. But he also mentioned, I think it might have been at the Scrum after the pay-per-view, that if you look at every AEW pay-per-view they've ever done, every single one of them is 4 hours minimum or in the range of 4 hours. And he claims that they're contracted to that number. And if they didn't go at least that long, then there were people that he would have to answer to. It's like it's in the contract that these shows have to go around 4 hours. So like this one started at 8 and 4 hours would be midnight. But again, the main event was first going to the ring at midnight. So like the last few shows have been going 4.5 hours. That's not counting the pre-show. You throw the pre-show in there, now it's like 5.5 hours, 6 hours. So I hear that and I'm like, well, he's making it sound like, well, there's nothing I can do. It's in the contract and we have to go at least that long. That's why these shows tend to be on the longer side. And it's like, okay, well, that might be the current contract that you have with these providers, but you still have a say in how long these shows go when it comes time to negotiate the next contract. And when this contract was signed, clearly, I'm sure Tony Khan had input into what the length of these shows would be. He wanted them to be of a certain length. So, yeah, maybe it's a contractual thing, but this is what you wanted. So it just goes to his mindset where I think he just feels compelled to give people as much as they can tolerate because they're paying $40 or $50, unless they're watching on Triller overseas. I guess maybe it's $20, but whatever. They're paying their hard-earned money, and he wants to just overwhelm them every single time and not feel like he's shortchanging them. And I get it. Like, I understand what he means when he says that. But if you watch that pay-per-view, and we both did, like, I felt bad. To me, it was like almost a slap in the face to a Samoa Joe and a Hangman Page. When you send them out to the ring that late, that's a slap in the face because now they have to work that much harder. And they're pros, so they can do it. But like they have to work that much harder to get the crowd up and invested in what they're doing because you're sending them out there so late. Like it was clear as day in the women's match, which I thought that was my favorite match on the show.
Me too. The Mercedes match is Statlander, bro. The crowd was fucking dead for like 70% of it.
Yes. So that's why I was kind of going back and forth. It's like, well, if you want to factor the crowd into it, then clearly, for my money, it was the tag team title match, which I had other issues with. But it really bothered me because I liked the women's match a lot. And I think that had they gone on earlier in the show, the atmosphere for it would have been different. I don't think it's just that, oh, people are sour on Mercedes. Yes, some people are, sure. But that, to me, the reason for the lack of crowd reaction in that match had a lot to do with the fact that it came after multiple hardcore matches, and they were out there at 11:30, after what was a very late show. And so it's a slap in their face as well. Like if I'm in AEW, it's a weird thing. I said this in my review. Like normally you hear about people like maybe in the old days, like they're politicking, right? They want to be in the main event. You would politic to be in the main event. I would be politicking to not be in the main event. Like that's the one spot on the card I would not want to be in on an AEW show because look at what you have to follow.
I know, but that's true. But you could look at it in another way too. You politic to be on earlier in the show, but the show goes so fucking long. Who's going to remember what you did at 8 o'clock when the show's still going on at 12:30?
Well, I mean, I remember what Brodito and FTR did. If you go out there and have a match, that's that good, people will remember. But yeah, you're going to have that issue because you have so many matches on the show. I feel like that Titanic meme by the time we get to the main event with the old lady where it's like it's been 84 years. Like that's me, at the end of these AEW shows. I feel, and there are people who will say, nope, I love it, give me more. But there were a lot of people who, including people who were at the show, who were AEW fans who listened to the show, who were like, dude, like I was just waiting for it to be over. I'm watching the main event thinking, I just want this to be over. It's beyond like, is this a good match, a bad match? It was okay, but I was just waiting. I was just looking at the time, like, can we wrap this up?
Bro, we got to 11 o'clock, and we were just getting into that 6-man, $1 million match with the Bucks and Omega. 11 o'clock. It's like, we got 3 matches left to go.
I was laughing. I think the mania had set in. I was laughing where it's like, we have 3 matches left. We have 3 fucking matches left, and it's 11 o'clock at night.
It also doesn't help that Tony Khan is on this thing where he's got the pre-show, which is airing now. It's a Tailgate Brawl, which airs on TNT. Their YouTube channel is the 0 Hour, which has nothing to do with any matches. It's just Jeff Jarrett and Renee and all these other people, talking about the rundown of the matches and going over the angles. Yeah, the DraftKings guy going over the stories and whatnot, advertisements. And then he's got this thing now. He did it again for the second pay-per-view in a row where the final match on the Tailgate Brawl bleeds into the actual pay-per-view. So now, we had an extra 15 minutes of this show on the air where we didn't need this match to be on the actual pay-per-view and should have concluded on the fucking buy-in. So why are you wasting 15 more minutes?
It added to the length of the show. Unlike you, because I know you had an issue with it the first time they did it. I didn't have an issue with it when they did it at WrestleDream. And I said, it's something that's worth trying. I don't have a problem with it. If they find, based on their own metrics, that it's actually leading to late buys for the pay-per-view, fine. But, I cannot imagine that they gained a single buy for the pay-per-view off of, the CMLL Trios titles being on the line. Nobody was buying Full Gear because of that. They were either buying it already or they weren't. But it's not something I would abuse and do every month. I had no issue with it in October, but you don't have to do it in November, right? Maybe you do it again in January or, whenever their next pay-per-view is, end of December. So I don't want to see it as a regular thing where now it's just happening all the time. And then it's okay, we don't need to be doing this constantly. But I didn't have an issue with them doing it the first time. That didn't really bother me.
And looking at it, it was the first time they tried it, which is fine. That doesn't mean you got to go back and do it again a second time. Now the whole concept, in my opinion, is fucking ruined. I don't want to see them do it again.
You could do it a second time, but you don't have to do it back-to-back shows. I wouldn't be doing it every single month. Every now and then, fine. It's plus it makes it more realistic if it's not every single month. It's if it happens even 4 or 5 times out of the entire year, it's this match, this match went overboard. It went overtime. We couldn't wrap it up in the allotted time because these guys are still going at it and they're going crazy. Fine. But I don't think that should be something they rely on doing, every single month, especially because the shows are long enough as it is. I mean, that's the point we're trying to talk about here. And it's different if you're on the West Coast. There are some people who would be well, the main event was going to the ring. It wasn't, midnight where I live. True. And it's, I think, a little more tolerable than for those folks. It's still a long show, though. But yeah, as far as the East Coast and other time zones, it is very late. It sounds like he realizes that when it comes to Sunday shows. I didn't hear him really talking about the Saturday shows, which is what this one was. But those afternoon shows are something that I think they should make more of an effort to do. And he said that when they were forced into doing it because of WWE counter programming, that they found success, with doing the shows at the earlier hour. So even if you can't do that every single month, that's something I think going forward, they absolutely should be doing more of. If you are going to have these long ass shows, it's a lot more tolerable to do it at 3:00 in the afternoon than doing it at 8:00 at night. I just think it's absurd.
Well, I'll never be on board with adding more than 8 or 9, 10 matches. This is ridiculous for these shows. He wants to give people the biggest bang for their buck, and he wants the money to be well worth spent. That doesn't mean load the fucking show up with 14 matches and get everybody on the card. I don't look at it that way. The way that I look at it is if you actually wrote some solid, cohesive story that made people fucking interested to watch the program to begin with, and then you play those stories out in the matches with the competitors in the ring, you give people a reason to watch, care, and look at it as quality. I don't understand why he thinks adding more matches to the show is equaling quality. Meanwhile, the way that I look at it is if you give me a fucking story I care about and 6 matches on the card, that's more substantial to me than anything else.
Yeah, but you're missing the point, though. It doesn't matter. They had stories on this show, even if what you said is true, and they have these great stories for all the key programs on the show. He would still have 10 or 11 matches on the card. The shows would still be 4.5 hours, 5 hours long. So that doesn't even matter. That doesn't even tie into what we're talking about here. They're contracted for 4 hours. That's the minimum that these shows are going to go, and then some, regardless of whether the stories are good or if the stories are bad. It's not a story issue. It's just an issue of this feeling. First, he loves wrestling.
Well, wait a minute. It could be a story thing because he overcompensates by putting so many matches on the show because he has no stories that are really interesting for people to care about.
Even if that's true, I believe that even if the stories were there, and again, it's a subjective thing. You say the stories aren't there. if the stories are there, I still think we would be having the same conversation. I really don't think that would change things. I think he has a gigantic roster, and he's trying to find ways on all of these shows. And they, at this point, they run pay-per-views almost every month, but not every month, right? They have no pay-per-view in January.
No, it's 9, I think.
I think it's 9. Yeah. So they're not running shows every month. They have a gigantic roster. That's why we have the Casino Gauntlet, so we can get 12 people or 13 people in the match. That's part of it also. He feels like I got to get as many of these people on these shows as I can. That's why we end up with these all-star matches on the pre-show and the trios matches. So that's part of it too. He has a giant roster. How do I get all these people on the show? Let's come up with these multi-person matches and try to get them. Look what he did with the teams that are in the tag team title tournament with the women. You know, we had all 4 teams in one match to pick a stipulation, which frankly, I don't know.
It's fucking ridiculous.
There shouldn't be stipulations.
The match shouldn't even take place. We've seen this same match for 3 straight months on Collision. Why is it on the pay-per-view?
Because he doesn't want to leave Tony Storm off the show. He doesn't want to leave Megan Bayne off the show. He doesn't want to leave some of these people off the show. That's the point I'm making. You know, he loves wrestling and he wants to get as many people's spots as he can.
If WWE could get away without putting CM Punk on a fucking PLE, then Tony Khan could get away without putting Tony Storm on a PLE.
Well, you know what? There may be people who who paid fucking $5,000 to go to these WWE shows who are going to be mighty upset when they realize CM Punk is not on that show. So it goes both ways. I can understand people being upset about the stars not being there if they pay all this money to go to these shows. But I'm just saying, like, that's my sense of why this is done this way. He loves wrestling. He's all about wrestling, great wrestling, and he has a giant roster. And so how can I put great wrestling matches together with as many of these people as I possibly can? And that's why we end up with these marathon shows. But I think it does a real disservice to the people who end up in those last couple of matches on those cards, because those matches just don't hit the same way that they would if they were on earlier. They just don't.
No, that I agree with wholeheartedly. Have you ever heard of a story that he told there that he's contractually obligated to do 4 hours? Like, I never heard of that. Like, usually back in the day.
You mentioned that in the scrum.
Back in the day, it was 3 hours. Like, these shows were like a hard 3 hours, and that was it. The cable networks cut it off. Like, is it 3 hours and he's just abusing going to a 4.5, 5 hours, 6 hours with All In? Or is he really contracted to 4 hours? I don't really know if I believe him on that.
He mentioned 3 hours and 45 minutes. They can go over that, but I guess that would be like a minimum. That was my sense of it.
All right. I mean, listen.
And it's true. If you look back at any of these AEW pay-per-views, find me one that went less than that.
Well, I mean, it was a little bit more digestible in the early days. Now it's just ridiculous because they were doing four or five of them. Now they weren't doing 9 or 10 of them. So It's like less is more here. This is what we're trying to say with him. But, you know, again, it's a big moneymaker for him. He gets easy 100,000, 110,000 buys easy with these shows. So we talked about that last week and the amount of money that he's making with these pay-per-views. But this show, as far as in totality, I thought was better than Wrestle Dream. I thought Wrestle Dream was a fucking waste. Just a lifeless show, in my opinion. I thought at least this, for being one of their flagship shows for pay-per-view, I thought this was okay. It wasn't a great show by AEW standards on pay-per-view. There was a lot here coming into it that I did not care about. I did not care about much of the stuff coming out of it. I'm not excited about this week's television, though I'm a mark for a tournament, so I'll enjoy the Continental Classic for what it is. We'll go over the competitors in each block a little bit later. But on top of the 4 hours, Jason, 4 hours plus for this show, and the amount of matches that we got, you know, there are stories. I don't want to mix up words and people take me out of context. There are stories. Is it a situation where the stories are good? You know, again, that's subjective. I don't think they are. They're not interesting to me, and I'm not going to go out of my way to go and get excited about this show and AEW television right now. I'm just not. The thing is, the match order here suffered. We'll get into why in a second, but I made this a huge talking point when I covered the show on Saturday with Jesse. The amount of fucking blood on this show was, in all honesty, a turnoff. Not that I skeeve blood and blood in movies or blood in sports or in competitive nature, but, bro, we just got done with Blood and Guts, where it was a fucking bloodbath on TNT for 2.5 hours. And that's not even counting the plethora of times we saw this on television before Blood and Guts. Now, we usually see hardcore, we see people bleeding on Collision and on Dynamite. Then they do that, which, I mean, it's in the name, so you get what you pay for, so you should expect that. But then they turn around and do even more blood. 4 matches on Saturday had blood, and a steel cage match in the main event with Joe and Paige. We just got done with Blood and Guts and saw 2.5 hours of steel cage matches. So it's like, you go back to the whole discussion of less is more. I don't think he comprehends that. I don't think he really understands that. They had Jon Moxley, Kyle O'Reilly, Kyle Fletcher, and Mark Briscoe back to back. And then my point was the usage of blood. Jesse's trying to make an argument that, if you're in a competitive fight, you should expect blood. It's a scripted fucking sport. They got the pen. They tell us what we're going to see. Why do we need to see blood in every fucking match?
I mean, that's a dangerous thing. If we're going to start getting into the conversation of if this was real.
Well, I know. Well, I don't understand that topic. I didn't understand that side of the discussion. The point I'm trying to make is you have these 2 matches that saw blood, and then the usage and overabundance of blood. The more you do it, the less impactful it's going to be. And I get people fucking in my comment section on Twitter, oh, you hate the show, you shut the fuck up, and all this other nonsense. I'm like, why isn't anyone understanding where I'm coming from with this? And this is just not an AEW thing. WWE has these matches. I'm going to be honed in on that War Games for both of them. If I don't see a drop of blood, just a little bit in either of these matches, that's going to be another problem, but on the completely different end of things. And then they do the steel cage match with Samoa Joe and Adam Page. I just saw these guys bleed fucking rivers of blood in these 2 matches back to back. And then when Samoa Joe bleeds within the first 4 minutes and starts spitting blood at the end of the match, Jason, I'm looking at that and I'm like, that could have been so much more impactful if there was no fucking blood throughout the entire show and Joe was the one left, the only one bleeding on this night. It's like, why doesn't anybody really understand it? And why doesn't Tony Khan seem to understand and grasp the fact that if you do it, and the more you do it, the less impactful it's going to be? I have a severe problem with AEW doing that, and I'm going to continue to hone in on that every time I see it. And the funny thing is, they're not going to change because he does what he wants.
I don't get the sense that it was a case of Tony Khan saying, hey, I want blood in these matches. I think it goes to the freedom that he gives his talent. So when you book a no disqualification match and then you book a no holds barred match in AEW, then you have an expectation that someone's going to bleed. And I think that those guys just go out there, put these matches together, and they're probably making that call on their own. Whereas I agree where I might step in that situation and go, look, we have a steel cage match for the world championship in our main event, 7 hours from now. And we really want to save that for that match. So whatever you do, let's avoid that. That was never going to happen in the Mark Briscoe and Kyle Fletcher match. That was never going to happen in the Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly match. Like the minute those matches were made, you already knew what you were going to get. But I agree, like it would have been more impactful for Joe and Hangman if they didn't already have to go on after all of the other stuff that we had already seen. That's your main event. All right, that's your big match, supposedly. That's your big match on the show. It would be more impactful if you allowed those guys to go out there and use that device in their match instead. So, I mean, that's a valid point. I disagree that Tony Khan doesn't understand. I think he fully understands. And this is what he likes. Because we see it a lot. If he didn't like it, he would pull the talent aside and go, don't do that again. Well, or he would have like a staff meeting, ahead of these shows and say, look, we're doing this in this match, so let's not do that in these other matches. Clearly, that's not going on here. If he didn't like it, then it wouldn't be happening, but he loves it. He loves that kind of wrestling. He goes back to the ECW days. So I'm sure he eats this shit up. It's not that he doesn't understand it, it's that he doesn't care because he likes it and he thinks it's great. He thinks it just enhances everything. But I think when you do too much of it, it takes away from everything else. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yes. And it didn't help that it's coming not even 2 weeks, 10 days after those 2 blood and guts matches. So it's a lot in a very short period of time. And I hate that I feel this way, where when we get to, not even the main event, like when we got to even Moxley and O'Reilly, let alone the main event, and I see the blood begins to pour, right? And we're not talking a little bit of blood. We're not talking a trickle of blood here. My reaction is not, oh my God, he's bleeding. My reaction is, Nothing.
Nothing.
It's like, okay. It's like the way people breathe in the course of a match or they sweat. It's just accepted. It doesn't pack the same punch that maybe in another situation it might. So I hate that it feels that way, but for me, that's how it felt, where it's just like, oh, okay, he's bleeding. Okay, well, I just saw this in the last 2 matches, so I don't know what's supposed to be different about that. What was different about it in the main event is that there was just so much of it. You talk about a gusher. There was a moment at the end of that main event when Joe won and he was celebrating, where it looked to me like he spat. I don't know if it was from his mouth even. I think it was just coming down his face, and there was so much of it. He was spitting gobs of blood out. He couldn't see, like he was blind. There was so much blood. It was almost like the Eddie Guerrero blade job from Judgment Day all those years ago. So that it was impactful because there was so much of it, but it didn't pack the same punch. It was just like, okay, we've seen this already. Like, I'm looking for something different each time a match goes out to the ring. I don't want to see the same match twice. That's not my attitude about AEW. That's my attitude about wrestling in general. What can you give me in this match that I didn't already see in the previous matches? We saw a lot of the same thing. That's the problem.
I wish that they would go about doing something different. That they don't know how to. No, it's all plunder. It's all the same plunder.
Well, it's all plunder, but this is what a lot of their audience loves. And
that's the problem. They're booking to the lowest common denominator. It's not generating any new interest or new fans.
Well, maybe so, but I mean, I'm sure he sees the comments on social media encouraging it. This was great, and he's like, okay, I'm going to give you more of what you want. You're paying for it, right? It's your money. You're paying for this show. So if this is what you want to see, then this is what I'll give you. I would imagine that if pay-per-view buys were going down, then maybe he would take a different approach and say, okay, we're doing something wrong here. What are we doing wrong? We want to get these numbers back up. But they still do reasonably well on these pay-per-views. And so he's giving people in his mind what they're paying to see. They're a bloodthirsty bunch. I'll say that.
They are. They have some issues there, but that was the largest criticism from our end for sure on this show.
And even and real quick,
yeah,
like even stuff like licking the screwdriver.
Oh, give me a break. Come on.
Like that's where it's like, like who does that appeal to?
Well, who allows that? Like he's the boss. He wants to go on Ariel Helwani and says, I have my hands in every aspect of creative, but like you see that, and what happens?
Yeah, but I don't think that's necessarily being clear with everybody. Like, I don't know how the agenting works. I'm sure there's an agent or a producer, that is attached to each match, I would imagine. So I don't know if they run every little thing up the flagpole to Tony Khan. My sense of it would be like stuff like that probably isn't even making it to him. He just trusts them enough to go out there because they're professionals. And they're really good at what they do. And so he entrusts them to go out there and just put the best possible match together. Did Tony Khan have to approve everything that Hangman and Swerve did in their cage match? Maybe some of it, right? If they have to get a cinder block ready for the match, and stuff like that. But did he know every little thing those guys were going to do in the match right down to the needle spot? I don't know. I don't know that he necessarily did. One of the things he mentioned in the Ariel Helwani interview, when he was talking about Darby Allin, he was asked, has there ever been anything that made you go, we went too far? And he mentioned the glass spot from Sting's retirement match at Revolution last year. And he said, the way he talked about it, it was almost like that didn't go the way it was pitched to me. It almost sounded like it was pitched to him a certain way, but it didn't quite go the way that he was told. And he felt like, okay, that was the one moment where it's like, I think that went too far. And I'm like, yeah, it went too far. It's one thing if Darby wants to go wreck himself, but I'm still shocked that they allowed that, because you remember that spot. It was outside the ring, dude. There were people in the front rows who were shielding themselves in their eyes when the glass went flying. That could have ended really badly for the fans, let alone Darby Allin. So there's stuff where it's just, you get to a point where some of this stuff is almost irresponsible, and you really do need to make sure that's being, run up the flagpole to the people who need to know about it, because, one day something's going to go sideways and we're going to sit here and go, well, you can't really say you didn't see it coming.
Well, it wasn't what was pitched to him, but in the same interview with Helwani, he kept on repeating himself. It's in the eye of the beholder, because Punk mentioned that everybody walks all over him as a boss, and he's like, that's not true. I don't recount that at all, or I don't agree with what he described in that situation at all. Yet what you're telling me is Darby Allin and talent walking all over Tony Khan and taking him for granted and taking advantage of him. So what side of the fence are we on here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Darby Allin's walking all over Tony Khan. I just think, there are probably people that he just has a lot of faith and trust in them, and they go out there and they do what they do, and he may not know about every little thing that's done, but
I guess in a way you could look at it as a breath of fresh air, because we come from WWE and it's the majority of our content where everything is fucking micromanaged and micromanaged down to the very last detail. I actually quite like the fact that things aren't as micromanaged, but for stuff like that, like you gotta have an eye and an ear on what's going on. You should know everything that's going on and axe the blood at these pivotal times, and stop using it when it's unnecessary and only save it for when it matters. Especially something like the hardcore spots. We just see so much of it and people's safety. But again, like you said, I don't know who's producing this stuff and what the discussions are between talent and producers and how it doesn't get to Tony Khan. I don't know. It's not appealing to me. It's just not. It's kind of wearing me down, honestly, from watching this.
Yeah, I would just to kind of boil this down and then we'll move on. It's just a case of, like, if I'm one of the wrestlers, especially if I'm on later in the show, I wouldn't like it if there were people who were doing shit before I get to go out there that is almost identical to what we're planning on doing.
Yeah.
So you would think there would be a discussion about that. And maybe there is. It doesn't seem like it, but maybe there is. But like, I would be like, that would bother me.
Totally.
Like,
it
it's
would
kind
bother
of
me
walking.
too.
Yeah, it's like it's walking all over what we're planning on doing in our story and our match, and maybe let's not do the same thing. And I don't know. There's a lot of the same thing, that we saw in some of those matches on the show.
And the two best matches of the night were wrestling matches. No hardcore needed. We'll get into those two matches. The pre-show here, just quickly go over the winners and losers here. Bang Bang Gang defeated Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, Big Bill, and Brian Keith and the Outrunners to win $200,000. Juice pinned Bowens and started humping the bag of money at the end of the match. More money matches for fictional money.
I told you, the Outrunners, they don't win anything.
Nothing. I don't understand it. I like them a lot. We got Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall, known as Boom and Doom, with Big Justice, Aaron Solo, and The Rizzler, against RPG Vice, Trent Beretta, and Rocky Romero with Don Callis. I don't know why they're giving airtime to this family. I know they're from New Jersey. Sure.
They live in Florida, but they're from New Jersey.
Boom and Doom win over RPG Vice. And I don't know if I read it on social media correctly, but apparently I think Big Boom AJ here has now made aspirations of going for championship gold. Is that what I heard, chat?
I mean, maybe he said something. There was some fake meme going around of a collision match.
Yes, I saw
that was not real, but maybe he said something in one of his promos. He's undefeated so far, so I think he's got an undefeated record.
Eddie Kingston and Hook versus the Workhorsemen, JT Drake and Anthony Henry. Rampage or less than Rampage. I don't know why this is on the show. Eddie Kingston and Hook win. We'll talk about Hook as he factored into the main event. And El Sky Team, Mystico, Mascara Dorada, Neon, and Alex Abrahantes out there with them against the Don Callis family. Okada, Takeshita on the pre-show, which is a crime in itself. And Hechicero, this is for the CMLL Trios Championships. This is where the show actually bled onto the main card because Okada...
No more blood. No more blood.
No. There's no more blood. Apparently,
it didn't bleed onto the paper.
No.
Can we use a different word, please?
It boiled over.
Okay,
there you go. Okada came out of a McLaren at the start of the actual show in his ring gear.
That's your dark horse beat.
I guess so. Yeah, much more than the dark horse for sure. Also, I'm not making the type of money Okada's making. Nowhere close. But he comes out dressed to wrestle. He's taking his sweet time to get out there. The whole story here is about Takeshita and Okada and the tensions that are building between them, which I'm actually looking forward to when this thing kind of comes to a head. I think the match is going to be really fucking good, honestly. At the end of this thing, it was miscommunication and just tensions between them that led to the finish. And they lost. El Sky Team won. They retained the CMLL Trios Championships. And the actual show did not get started until 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, which the actual show started with Darby Allin and Pac. That was the first official match of the Full Gear card. I was actually looking forward to the Darby and Pac match, Jason, because it was something that Jesse and I praised on Wednesday, where Pac cut that promo. It was very cinematic. Well, it wasn't as cinematic as the jailhouse scene with Moxley and Darby, where they were kind of in that speaking booth in the jail. This was very well shot, and Pac said, "I'm going to take your bells and whistles away from you, and I'm going to really expose you. So what we're going to do is not what you are accustomed to doing, because we can definitely do that, and we're going to have a straight-up wrestling match," which was great because Pac is a fucking great wrestler, and Darby, we all know, could wrestle. And the thing is, with the ending of this match, it came down to him cheating to win. So it was really a nice, kind of simple pro wrestling story here between two guys that we know can wrestle. And the Death Riders in Pac finally kind of put down Darby, at least for tonight. And I thought the whole premise of the match was as simple as could be, and it worked.
Yeah, and Pac had to win for this story to work, that hopefully the story they're telling. And I said this, I think, even when we were doing like predictions and stuff. It's like Moxley needs to lose, Pac needs to win. And that's going to feed into this Death Rider story as far as what ends up happening with Moxley. It had to work out this way. It had to happen this way.
Yeah. Yeah, this was good stuff here. So the baseball bat came into play here. Pac cracked Allen in the face with it, got rid of the evidence, and then rolled him up 1, 2, 3. Now we'll get into the Continental Classic after we go over Full Gear, because we have Claudio and Moxley in the Continental Classic. So if Jason's hopes here are correct, which I hope that they are myself, we will hopefully see the further disintegration of the Death Riders within the Continental Classic. And that's something that I'm going to keep a close eye out on as well, because Moxley has lost several times. And he's going to be in a round-robin tournament where if you lose, it is going to be detrimental to your standing in the tournament. So he's got to go up against some stablemates there. So it's going to be interesting to follow.
Yeah, I was wondering, coming out of the show, they were going to shoot the angle on Dynamite tomorrow night. But now that we see Moxley and Claudio are in the same league, and they're going to be wrestling each other, that tells me that they're going to hold off on that for a little bit and wait until we get to that match, and maybe even in the tournament or at the very end of it is where they kind of lower the boom on Jon Moxley. Because even if you look at like the faces of the other members, like later in the show, it was visible on their faces, like Marina Shafir's face and Pac's face.
Did you watch the post match promo from Moxley and see their faces?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So like. You talk about story, right? You talk about story. They've taken their time with this. Okay, they've taken maybe too much time with this, but the signs are all there if you look for them. Like, we know it's coming. It's just a matter of when. And now that they're in this tournament, they're going to probably hold off on that for a little bit longer. Although they're starting the tournament tomorrow, so for all we know, we may get Moxley and Claudio on the show tomorrow. For all we know,
yeah. Going to be interesting to follow. So I am excited about that aspect. And what they did not do last year, I hope that they rectify and do this year. There was not much story within the tournament there outside of Fletcher and Ospreay, which, I mean, it was just very bare bones. There's a lot more substantial story in this tournament. We got Okada and Takeshita. We got Moxley and Claudio. Darby's in the tournament. So hopefully we get more of that this year in the Continental Classic. Marina Shafir, Megan Bayne, Timeless Love Bombs, that's Tony Storm and Mina, versus the Babes of Wrath, Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, versus the Sisters of Sin, Julia Hart and Sky Blue. This was a 4-way match. These are the remaining teams in the Women's Tag Team title tournament. And apparently Tony Khan put them on this show to, A, get them on the show, and B, feature the Tag Team title tournament because, it was Tony Khan's genius idea to have the Women's Tag Team Championship tournament taking place while also at the same time crown a new national champion. And, you should focus on one and then do the other. He's doing both of them at the same time. So he didn't want to take one away from the other. So the stipulation here, Jason, is the winner of this match gets to pick their stipulation for their next semifinal tournament match. Now, I looked at this and I simply asked why. No, I don't know why we need, and it goes back to them doing no DQ and plunder and hardcore, and in the safe space of a tournament where there is a stipulation. You win, you advance. You lose, you go home. I mean, you can't get any more clear than that. He wants to go and further add another stipulation where they can now choose what type of match it's going to be. So I'm assuming it's going to be more plunder within the tournament. And I ask myself, why do we need more of that when this is a tournament and we don't need any of that to take place?
Well, remember what Mina said last week. Her recommendation was a Taipei death match.
Yeah, sure.
So we may end up with some exploding C4 maybe. I don't know.
Oh my God! Listen, I could not be bothered to care about this nonsense. Now I do appreciate that the Blood and Guts, Women's Blood and Guts, the ending of that match has bled into this upcoming semifinal match with the Timeless Love Bombs, Marina and Megan Bayne. I mean, it's not really a story, but I mean, it's simple enough where it's building cohesive weeks of television. So Tony and Mina win this. Now they get to take the stipulation into their match with Marina and Megan, and whatever that is, well, I guess we'll find out this week, hopefully. But they won this fatal four-way. Are you still going with the Timeless Love Bombs to win the tag team title tournament, or has that changed at all?
I'm not as confident in my prediction anymore because
you're going with Julia Hart and Sky Blue now, aren't you?
No, if I was going to change my prediction, I think I would go with Willow and Harley.
Okay.
Because they would be the fan favorites. But I'm going to stick with Tony and Mina. I'm going to stick with them. Even though them picking the stipulation, I didn't think it was going to go that way. I actually thought it was going to be Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir picking the stipulation. So it's a little bit different now. But I'm gonna stick with them on this. I'm gonna keep them as my pick.
What do you think the finals are going to be? You think the Babes of Wrath are going to advance, or you think Sisters of Sin are going to go on to advance?
I think the stronger match would be, I really think Willow being in the finals.
Yeah.
And Harley is not as, obviously she's not as experienced as the other women in the match, but she's over. And then you have Tony and Mina on the other side. So it would be babyface against babyface, but I think that would be probably the strongest match, unless it goes the complete opposite way and you have Tony and Mina lose. And then you would do Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir against Willow and Harley in the finals.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of the other possibility here. But I think I would be leaning towards Tony and Mina against Willow and Harley.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best match of the two as well. So yeah, we'll hopefully figure what that out is on Wednesday with that stipulation. Timeless Love Bombs get the win, and the tournament continues to crown the first ever women's tag team champions. Speaking of tag team champions, Brodito. They defended the titles, Brody King and Bandito against FTR. AEW Tag Team Championships on the line here. I've been very vocal. We both been very vocal about both tag team divisions for a while, especially on the WWE side on Raw, where it's basically non-existent, and they need to fix that whenever. And we know it's not going to happen. The SmackDown Tag Team division is a little bit better, but there was a point, Jason, where the AEW Tag Team division was looking bleak. It was bad. They gotten away from it. I mean, coming on in the first year, it was something that was a flagship for every Dynamite. Tag Team Wrestling, they had that great tournament. The Tag Team Championships were as valuable as anything, especially when Omega and Hangman won the championships, wrestled the Bucks at that Revolution early on. It was still the best tag team match in AEW history. Then it gone away, and it just fucking, I don't know what happened to it. Seemingly someone forgot that the tag team division even existed. And I don't know what we can go and hearken back to what the real change was. But it seemingly all started when the Hurt Syndicate got there, and then Brodito formed. And it was like Brodito kind of really were the catalysts to kind of say, you know what? I love tag team wrestling again. Let's start pushing tag team wrestling on TV again.
Yeah, which wasn't even supposed to happen.
No.
It was going to be Brody King and Buddy Matthews, and then Buddy got hurt.
Yeah, so I would say Brodito was really the catalyst for the revitalization of tag team wrestling. Then you got FTR, and no matter how they have treated me, I've always given them their props. They are one of the best tag teams ever. They never have a bad match. And this tag team of Brody King and Bandito has been just unbelievable to watch, where, at one point I said maybe we should start breaking Brody away and start building him up as a main event talent. And Bandito is obviously great. I was even hoping for an inclusion of him in the Continental Classic, but that's not going to happen. Both great singles wrestlers. But, man, this match, when tag team wrestling is right, I mean, it's probably the best thing on the entire show any given night. And this was fucking great. I don't think this was the best tag team match of the year. I'd probably give the edge to the Bucks, Swerve and Ospreay at All In. But, man, this was fucking tremendous stuff here.
It was an excellent match where it took me out of it near the end, because there were one too many near falls for my liking. Like this was one of those times, and sometimes it doesn't bother me, and sometimes it does. It just, and I don't remember exactly which near fall it was, but they started really hitting these big moves near the end, and the fans were into it. So again, maybe I'm in the minority on this, but it got to a point where I was like, okay, they've gone one too many, and then it happened again, and it happened again. And then the match ended, and again, it doesn't take away from the rest of the match being excellent, but it took me out of it near the end. I just thought they went overboard with some of the kickouts, and I get that was the story they were telling with Bandito. It wasn't just Bandito, though, kicking out. But there were so many big, like, tag team moves, and then it was like he kicked out. And then there was another one, and he kicked out. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And then finally the match ended. So that, to me, was the only blemish on it for me. Still an excellent match, but I think they went way overboard towards the end on all the big dramatic near falls.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree there. I mean, it's just a thing in AEW, and it's one of those things where you see it, and sometimes you don't even fucking make a mention of it because you see it so often. But FTR, 3-time tag team champions now, they are taking the belts, hopefully, from what I said on my stream, into a program now. Hopefully, Copeland and Christian return, and obviously they have to square things up there and kind of tighten the loose ends from what we saw there last at All Out, because they attacked Beth. So I'm assuming they've been taken off television, which to me is not doing anything positive to this storyline, because so much time has gone by now. I personally don't even give a shit. But eventually they're going to want revenge for Beth. And now there's going to be a little bit more of an incentive because the pot's sweetened with the tag team championships on FTR now. So they're going to be focusing on getting revenge on FTR and then also taking their tag team championships. Don't know when that's going to happen. It could be World's End. It could be at the start of the new year. But it looks like we may be going in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's nothing they could do about Copeland not being on TV. He's filming. And Christian, I still maintain the reason that Christian's just been completely off TV is because Nick Wayne just wasn't ready to be back in the ring yet from the broken foot. So they just like, well, we'll keep him off TV. To me, that's the Revolution match. I think you do that. You build that match up to Revolution. I don't know if it's at the end of February, the beginning of March, but you save that and let that be, because Revolution tends to be one of their biggest shows of the year. You do that at Revolution.
Yeah, I could see that. And then with the Young Bucks hopefully getting back to form and the Elite getting back together, I have been long predicting that we see Copeland and Christian. I don't know when Cope's contract is up. I would assume that next year would be his final year with AEW. I think the Bucks want that match. I think Copeland wants that match as well with Christian. So we get Cope and Christian versus the Young Bucks. Maybe they build towards All In with that in Wembley. So I could see that taking place. But I think that's on the table for 2026. But FTR win the tag team titles. Like Jason said, one too many, false finishes in this thing at the end, but it did not take away from how great the match was, and FTR wins. Casino Gauntlet. I wish I could be a little bit more positive like I was towards the last match for this one. Casino Gauntlet for the new AEW National Championship. So I guess we'll start here, Jason. We finally saw a glimpse of this thing that was under scrutiny because Tony Khan, and the rumor was his argument with NWA over the Shockwave trademark and him being petty towards Billy Corgan in the NWA. Tony on a Twitter feed, a Twitter video live stream, said that he spoke to Billy and he's going to have his own lineage with this title, and he just wants to pay respect, and he loves the old school. So He said he spoke to Billy Corgan about it, and it's all taken care of. There's no arguments. There's no hard feelings here. And then we see the title on Saturday night, and it looks very, very, very familiar to the NWA Television Championship, which is currently held right now by Brian Idol. Never mind Mike Mondo and the fucking national championship over there. The title design looks exactly, except for the color scheme, like the NWA Television title.
Yeah, well, I mean, the title, it looks like the television title. It looks like the old national title. It looks like the title that Hogan had in '85. I think all those belts were basically cast from the same mold, it looks like, because there were a lot of them that, again, outside of the colors maybe, it was the same basic design. So it's not just the TV title, the national title, the old national title looked like that also. So they wanted to go for that authentic look. So it resembles all of those championships, not just the TV title. I mean, I like it. It's different. It's a throwback to those old belts. I like it more than I do the NXT North American Championship. Which,
really? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I was never a fan of that design. No, and I know they were also kind of going old school with that, but I always preferred this design.
Yeah, so, a lot of people were sparking the discussion of like, oh, they stole the design and blah, blah, blah. Billy Corgan and his company, Lightning One Inc., own the NWA and the likeness to the NWA. But I saw Conrad's tweet today. People were making a big deal about this. He said the NWA did not, and has not, and will never own this design. Reggie Parks and his company owns this design and dozens of others. So, you could look at it from one side, but Tony loves his pro wrestling, which we have very well documented here and have. But to just flat out just use the same type of design instead of kind of molding it in the same way that the other titles, Jason, on AEW television, do you look at it as like a cheap pot shot from Tony Khan, even though he said that it's water under the bridge with Billy Corgan to just go and kind of make the same design that they would have? Or no?
No. Okay. He wants it to resemble what these old school championships look like. I don't think he did it as any sort of intentional pot shot at anybody.
All right. Well, we got a gauntlet match to decide this national championship here. And I don't know how you felt about this match, man. I felt like this was one of the weaker gauntlet matches. I looked at it at the end and I'm like, that's it. There was no surprises. There was no real star power in this thing. It was just there.
Yeah, I mean, because we've seen a bunch of them this year, and this was definitely one of the weaker ones I thought that they've done. Part of the fun of these is that, you never know who's going to come out, and they always stick at least one person, two people. It's like a Royal Rumble, where you never know who's coming out, but you hope there's some surprises in there, or someone's coming back from an injury. That's why I threw Jay White's name out there, because he's been gone for a while. I hadn't heard any updates on him. Evidently, he's not ready to come back for a while yet. But I thought maybe he would be, and I thought this would be a great opportunity and a great way to reintroduce him. But yeah, there were no surprises. But then I look at it and I go, what they ended up doing was a way to shine a spotlight on their mid card. I mean, look at who was in there, right? It was the AEW mid card, and it makes sense because this is a mid card championship. And so they for example, I'll give Mark Davis his name. Right, Mark Davis comes out, and my first thought is, all right. I mean, I'm sorry, but like that's my reaction. So he's like the whipping boy of the Callis family. So he comes in there, and this guy is doling out pile drivers like there's no tomorrow, and like they're brutal looking, and he's dropping guys. They
were fucking bad. I gotta admit, yeah.
They were looking fucking brutal, and the fans are cheering for him. He's getting over with these pile drivers. So even someone like Mark Davis, had a time to shine here in this match where he kind of got over there for a little bit. So, when you look at it like that, it didn't bother me as much, even though it was the weakest probably of the ones they've done this year. It was a mid-card gauntlet match that shined a spotlight on that, division, if you want to call it that, because they're fighting over a mid-card championship, a championship that is not needed. It is not necessary. When they have an international title, I know it's unified right now, but when you have an international title, there is really no point in having this championship. But since they have it, it's a mid-card title, and so they shined a spotlight on their mid-carders.
We got Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin starting this thing off. That didn't last long at all. It was less than 60 seconds until Ricochet came out at number 3. Claudio was in there, Danny Garcia, Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, Kevin Knight, Roderick Strong, Mark Davis, Speedball Mike Bailey. Daddy Magic was in this, and he was the last one in at number 12.
Number 12, yeah. And I think he fought off right into the crowd with Daniel Garcia, and we didn't see them again.
No. So at the end of this, Ricochet ended up winning the AEW National Championship with a spirit gun, and he got a victory over Kevin Knight here after a UFO splash. Spirit gun to Kevin Knight here, new champion. You know, I mentioned this, Jason, and I'm fairly confident in my assessment of why they gave Ricochet the championship. First of all, Ricochet, Bobby Lashley, and Shelton Benjamin were the top 3 guys that were even focused upon, you know, with the official announcement of this title being created and a gauntlet match being announced. Those were the 3 guys that were really kind of the focus here going into this match. And Bobby Lashley, Hurt Syndicate, Ricochet, the Demand, and the Gates of Agony, they've been feuding for the better part of 2 months now, a little bit more than 2 months. Back and forth, 50-50 booking. Neither group got over. The Hurt Syndicate looks worse off for it. The Demand looks like a bunch of losers. So I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but the way I look at Ricochet is a phenomenal wrestler, great talent, always has been. Big fan of Ricochet and what he does in the ring. The way he's been presented on AEW television outside of his first 6 weeks in AEW has been largely a loser. He hasn't gotten any momentum. He had a decent Continental Classic where I thought things were about to turn the corner. He had that great triple threat match for the International Championship with Speedball and Kenny Omega at the beginning of the year at Revolution. Outside that, I can't really pinpoint anything that Ricochet has done on television anywhere close to as important. So they gave him this championship after this nonsensical, nowhere feud with the Hurt Syndicate to basically offset the terrible booking and make him feel important by default when we all know it's the creative that has kind of let him down. And a championship is not going to change that. So what they have to do now is if they're going to brand this guy the new national champion, is they have to book him as a legitimate fucking champion. They have to book him strong. They have to book him with him getting some wins. They can't book him like the loser they have been. Otherwise, this is not going to work. And that's the way I look at why they put the title on him at Full Gear.
Well, I mean, he's going to go around now and defend the title in other promotions. He's going to defend it on the independent scene. I think they've already said he's defending it at the Ring of Honor pay-per-view that's coming up. So, again, this is what the international title was originally conceived for. So now they're just going to do it with the national title. And, yeah, of course he's going to have to win. I mean, if he's going to go around defending the championship, he's got to win matches. I suspect that's what will happen. And, you know, Ricochet's character, it is what it is. I mean, he goes out there. He's supposed to be annoying. I was amused by the spot in the match where they had all the death, because there were like so many fucking Death Riders in here.
We heard that music 3 times in this match.
Oh, my God. And yeah, 3 times too many. We heard that music. And so Claudio's in there, and Yuta's in there, and Garcia's in there. And they were doing like locomotion strikes to somebody in the corner. And then Ricochet just kind of jumped in the line and did one also. And then he's trying to like, you know, high five them and everything. And Claudio just uppercutted him into another dimension. So like that's a good example of like what this character is all about. You know, you're supposed to look at him and kind of laugh at him. Now he's a champion though. And so we'll see if that changes at all, or if he's still kind of like a chicken shit type of heel champion. We'll see. But he's going to be going out there and defending this title in other places, which, you know, for the different promotions, if they're able to be able to advertise, hey, we have an AEW title match on our show, you know, that's great. That's great for them. As far as AEW is concerned, it's just another in a long line of championships that they have. I don't really know what else to say about it. We've already talked about, you know, the number of titles they have. So it comes down to the booking and the creative when it comes to Ricochet.
It's an important aspect of it, too. We talked about that on Saturday when I covered this with Jesse, that Ricochet is the right guy to win this. I mean, you could have given it to Speedball or Kevin Knight. They could have done the same thing. But Ricochet's more of a bigger name. You know, we joked if Bobby Lashley, who honestly should be a champion of some sort in AEW, or at least in the main event scene, competing for the AEW championship. Can you imagine him winning the national championship and going to some rinky-dink indie and defending that on the independent circuit? I can't see that taking place.
I haven't seen him work any indies, so no.
I don't think he wants to.
I don't think he has to. That's why he doesn't do it. So no, I could not imagine that. So when I saw that they ended up laying outside the ring for most of the match, I wasn't really surprised by that.
Yeah, they didn't want to sell for the other guys in this match who were significantly smaller than them.
They took a nap for a while and then they reemerged.
Yeah, I didn't care for this. Too many gauntlet matches. Again, less is more. Save this one concept for All In once a year. That's it. We don't need to see it 4, 5, 6 times a year. Jon Moxley, Kyle O'Reilly, no holds barred match. This is where the nonsense really began for Full Gear. No holds barred between Jon Moxley and Kyle O'Reilly. Granted, there is a story between these two, but it's not really in a sense of let's get Kyle O'Reilly over after 3 years of treating him like a comedy character. They're using O'Reilly as a vehicle to sell the fact that Moxley is not himself. He's taking cheap way outs. He's causing matches to end, impromptu. Whether he's putting his hands on the referee, causing a DQ. He's already tapped out once to Kyle O'Reilly. So it's more about Jon Moxley tapping out and quitting than it is about Kyle O'Reilly getting over in a significant way and moving him up the ladder, because I just don't see them wanting to do that. As far as the match, Jason, O'Reilly's a very good wrestler. Moxley, outside the garbage here with the blood and the hardcore, when he wants to wrestle, he could wrestle and deliver a good match. We've seen him do that over the course of 5-6 years in AEW, but I don't know how you feel, man. I just don't care about any of this. Like, I get what they're going for, but the way I look at Kyle O'Reilly is you wasted so much time with him. Now you want me to care about him in this sense for what? Like, I just can't bring myself to care about a guy who is playing a role that isn't really going to get him anywhere. He's just there. Like, why should I care about him?
Yeah. I mean, it was more of a vehicle to further the Death Rider stuff than anything else. Like, I don't envision Kyle O'Reilly being any higher up in the pecking order coming out of this, which is a shame because it could have been a spot where they could have featured someone with the idea of really, truly elevating them. Because think about it, like, as far as what Moxley did here, he really did all he could as far as, the brief story they've told with these two and then losing to him all these times to help get this guy over. He lost at Blood and Guts. He lost here in this match and just tapped out to him, right? So I would love to think that, okay, that means that they have something in store for Kyle. I don't see Kyle being someone who really is going to, climb much higher than where he is now. Now, coming out of the pay-per-view, Tony Khan said that he had some injuries, so he's not even going to be in the Continental Classic, which I don't believe he's in the participants, right?
He's not a part of the Continental Classic.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, well, you would think coming off of some of these, the two biggest wins of his career in this company, that he would be featured in that tournament. If he's hurt, then he's hurt. But whenever the next time is that we see him, what's going to be the follow-up, right? I'm not really anticipating any real substantial follow-up for him. It really is more about it's another big loss for Jon Moxley. In a long line of recent losses for Jon Moxley. That's really where the story is here. It's less to do with Kyle O'Reilly and more to do with Jon Moxley. But you couldn't have done a better job, really, over these last few weeks of trying to elevate somebody new. I just wish that if they were going to do it, it would have been with somebody who I could actually see maybe being in the main event scene at some point.
Yeah, I think they dropped the ball there. Again, the match was fine, but like we talked about, there's nothing new. We've seen this time and time again.
Like imagine if Josh Alexander was not in the Callis family and he was in there as a babyface, like him in that spot.
Yeah.
Then I could see like, okay, maybe this is their way of taking Alexander, who's also like a submission guy, and trying to elevate him up to that next level so he can level up. He's got a couple of big wins over, one of the biggest AEW champions in history. I don't see that with Kyle. I just don't.
No. So, I mean, the match itself was fine. There was a situation in this match where there was a bulldog choke with a chain. O'Reilly scrambles into a full mount, and only Moxley presses on the throat to get free to apply an STF And then there was a situation where O'Reilly has the fork, because Moxley used the fork early on to draw blood. That's his favorite weapon, the fucking fork from catering. Stabs the hand of Moxley to get free. So you visibly saw the fork stabbings on Moxley's hand. And then Moxley turns around and hits a curb stomp onto the chain. And then New Jersey, 10,000 deep at the Prudential Center, start singing Seth Rollins' theme song mid-match. So I start laughing. I'm like, I don't know if that's the presentation you really want here, but it is what it is. So
they could have been worse. I mean, they could have been singing that stupid Roman Reigns song.
They could have, yes.
I mean, really, come on, people. Like, can we get some more originality here?
Yeah. So Death Rider then spikes O'Reilly, Kimura by Moxley, only to be counted to an ankle lock. And then the ankle lock wrapped in the chain. Moxley fought valiantly here, tapped out, and he loses to O'Reilly again. So post-match, we saw the Death Riders come out. Moxley was very angry, and it looked like he was giving O'Reilly a nod of respect almost, and he starts to walk out with Marina, and then we see some officials and some producers out there attending to Kyle O'Reilly, who's flat on his back, exhausted and bloodied. Moxley gets back in the ring and starts putting the boots to Kyle O'Reilly again, while the Death Riders are all outside, and they're all looking at Moxley like, bro, what are you doing? You lost. It doesn't really matter what's going on with you there. You can put as many boots to him as you want. You lost. So it's like more of a frustration thing, and him kind of, not being the leader that they need. He's losing his sense of leadership. He's losing his patience. He's losing his hardcore. So Moxley loses here, and the story is he continues to tap out. And we'll see what happens with him in the Continental Classic, where he is in there with Claudio. So, Jason, we go from this, where we got blood, lots of it, to
and forks
to and chains with a match with blood, tables, thumbtacks, screwdrivers, barbed wire.
I don't understand this at all. I don't understand how the show is formatted in this way, where you would have these two matches back to back. I am just puzzled by this decision.
So these two have been, I guess Mark Briscoe's been on a crusade to win the big one and win this championship. Kyle Fletcher had wrestled Hangman earlier in the year, a couple months ago, and that was for the AEW Championship. Simply born out of, there was really no top guys for Page to work with. Everybody was injured, and MJF was out filming movies. So they had Kyle Fletcher fill in for that. But at the same time, Briscoe, he was chasing the TNT Championship. So we finally get this match, and this is the fifth match between these two. But it was a situation where if Briscoe loses, he must join the Don Callis family. And I figured with the whole premise of this that he wasn't going to lose, because the Don Callis family certainly doesn't need any more members, and you can't really give Mark Briscoe another loss, otherwise he's just a fucking loser. You can't do that. And Kyle Fletcher has done as much as you possibly can with the TNT Championship. There really isn't much else for him to do. And looking back at it and now looking forward to the Continental Classic, which Kyle Fletcher is a part of, it makes sense to put the belt on Mark Briscoe and off of Kyle Fletcher, because he's in the Continental Classic and you don't want that belt tied up in the tournament. So looking at this, Jason, there was a lot of plunder here. There was a lot of blood. There was a lot of kickouts out of ridiculous fucking shit, which I'll mention one here in a bit. But again, this match went in over 20 minutes.
You mean you weren't happy with the brain buster on the thumbtacks and then the kick out?
Bro, I wasn't even talking about that. I'm talking about the table and ladder spot where Fletcher's fucking trying to pull himself up and Briscoe does a froggy bolt through the table. It's like, I said audibly out loud, that's got to be it. It's over. He kicks out.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
What
no. I mean, a brain buster on the thumbtacks is not enough to put him away.
He wanted to do the brain buster on a fucking screwdriver through the turnbuckle pad. Yeah. He didn't get to do it.
Yeah, he wanted to impale this man on the turnbuckle in the corner. See, so I saw a lot of people were just raving and calling this the best match on the show. I will say this. Good for Mark Briscoe, okay? Because here's someone who is, literally banned from even appearing on TNT. And now he is the TNT champion, right? So he's got his first taste of singles gold here in this company, and he's a fan favorite. And I like Mark Briscoe, and so it was we got the feel-good moment there at the end. I think for what they were trying to do, what they set out to do, they did it. This match was not my cup of tea. I'll just say that.
No.
This was
especially back-to-back with the last match we saw.
it just, yeah, no, it was not for me. So, but again, Briscoe got the big moment there at the end, and we'll see how long he holds on to that championship for, because there's plenty of people that you can, have him work with, unless he just drops it back to, the Callis family. But he was not joining the Don Callis family.
No.
Like you said, they've got El Clone in there, and they've got Mark Davis, and Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, and
Brian Cage, who's not even on fucking TV because he's hurt.
Andrade, wherever he is. So yeah, they did not need another member of the Don Callis family, and also the Callis family had gone 0 for 3, I think, up to that point in the show. It was not a good night for the Callis family.
Poor babies.
Yeah.
Listen, Briscoe deserves it. I don't think there's one soul that doesn't appreciate what Mark Briscoe is as a wrestler and as a human. You can't look at him in a bad light at all. He's got that lovable kind of Mick Foley type of vibe about him. He's basically their Mick Foley. He's their version of Kevin Owens as a babyface in AEW. And I'm glad he won the TNT championship. I'm glad that they finally put some gold around his waist, because he's busted his ass this year. There's one thing that we can all find common ground in, is he's busted his ass. He's worked his ass off this year, and he's put on some really great fucking matches. But I'm more kind of zoned in, Jason, about Kyle Fletcher and the fact that AEW constantly has Kyle Fletcher. I feel like I see Fletcher in more of these matches than anybody. I mean, it's him and Moxley neck and neck for who's going to fucking kill each other first with these matches.
Well, the match with Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah, and where he won the championship, and Dustin had to go get double knee replacement. The thing is, Fletcher is so fucking good at such a young age. And Stevie Richards and Jim Cornette have criticized the fact that he can't string a proper match together, and they're ruining this guy's mentality, and he needs a performance center, and he needs to kind of hone his skills to get to the next level. I do find some truth in that, but also I find that to be a bullshit take, because the kid is already on his way to being a great fucking pro wrestler. He's already there at such a young age. The thing is, he doesn't need to do half of the shit he's doing in this type of match. Just let the kid go out there and fucking wrestle. Everything's dropping someone on their head or putting someone through a table or screwdriver and licking blood and bleeding. Why does Fletcher need to do that? Is it getting to a point where we're going to start looking at him when he gets Ospreay's age, and he's going to be on the shelf for 2 years because he's going to need fucking fusion neck surgery? It's like at some point you're going to have to say, well, let's slow it down a little bit. I mean, they got Kyle Fletcher going 1,000 miles an hour. He wrestled this, and then he's going to be in the Continental Classic for an entire month. And that's no easy task at all either.
Yeah, I think that the idea that Kyle Fletcher needs a performance center is just it's an asinine take. It's a style that he chooses to work and likes and enjoys and thrives in. But sure, I mean, all that shit's going to catch up with you at some point. So if he just keeps going nonstop like that, doing death matches like that, sure, it'll catch up to him. But that's a conscious decision that he's making, where, again, Tony Khan could always step in and go, look, you're one of our diamonds in the rough here. And really one of the true up and coming young stars on that roster that they have helped make, that one day should be a world champion and one day could be in the spot that a Swerve was in or a Hangman was in, right? Or an Ospreay will inevitably be in. He could be that guy. I would want to protect that investment as much as possible. So I think just for that reason alone, I wouldn't want to see him in matches like this on a regular basis. I would be looking at this, if I'm Tony Khan, as more of a long-term investment for 5-10 years down the road. Kyle Fletcher could be that guy for me. So let's not have him go out there and kill himself every single time we see him in one of these pay-per-view matches.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I mean, I called that out on Saturday. It's like, well, why do you have him doing all this nonsensical shit when bare bones, the guy's a great fucking wrestler? But this is something that sparked some discussion, and I figured I'd save it for this here to get Jason's take on it. I don't know if I agree with this or not, but I'm also in a position where I don't really give a shit. ESPN's top 30 best pro wrestlers under 30 list for 2025 just came out. Now take this with a grain of salt. ESPN WWE partnership, so you know it's going to be a WWE heavy list. So you can't look at this as oh my God, the end all be all. But they top Jason Dominic Mysterio at number 1 for second year in a row due to his dual title runs as Intercontinental Champion and the AAA Mega Champion. And then right underneath him at number 2 is Kyle Fletcher for his big singles run this year, main event push. And obviously the match with Paige and then the TNT Championship run this year where he won it at All In. Do you look at what the hell is that? That's an ad playing on the website that I was looking at. Sorry. Do you look at this list as the right way to go about it as far as Dominic and Kyle Fletcher, or would you have flipped the two?
No, I mean, I think that's fine. I mean, I could live with that because, you know, you could say that Kyle Fletcher has had better matches than Dominic Mysterio. First of all, I don't know what their criteria is for this list.
Yeah,
is this
neither,
like a PWI type list where it's like kayfabe or I don't
it's some
know
random Joe Schmo who's picking who he thinks is the best out of the 30.
All right. Well, the way I look at it is this: Dom, his ceiling in WWE is very high. So I could sit here and say that Kyle Fletcher could be for AEW what Dominic Mysterio could be one day for WWE, right? And there's other top names in WWE that have said the same thing. Dom, I think, also has maybe the second most number of matches this year under, I think, only LA Knight.
Yeah.
And I think he might have had the most number of matches last year. Like, he's been a workhorse in that company. And now he has success in multiple promotions because he's the AAA mega champion. And when you see him out there, the reactions that he's getting, he's over like Rover. I mean, he's a huge star down there. And he's wrestling in two different promotions. And now he's getting one of John Cena's, final matches. And so if you look at what they have him doing, he's accomplished a lot. And he's really come a long way from where he was. I don't have any issue with him being in the number one spot. One and two to me, like, you could flip them and it doesn't matter. Like, if those two names are at the top of the list, that's a good place for both of them to be.
Yeah, for sure. This rounded out the list here. Rhea Ripley, number 3. MJF at number 4. Even though he has had a relatively quiet year this year.
Where was Braun Breaker on this list?
Tiffany Stratton, number 5. Braun Breaker, number 6. Blake Monroe, number 7. Obafemi, number 8. Roxanne Perez, number 9. And Leon Slater, number 10. So only one AEW talent.
No Javon Evans?
Well, this is just the top 10. He was in the top 30, yeah. I don't have the top 30 in front of me.
I mean, top 30 is very different than top 10. I mean, he should be up in that mix too. So, again, I don't know what the criteria, if there is a specific criteria for this list.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have any issue with Dom and Fletcher being that high on the list. We can quibble over, like, who's 1, who's 4, who's 3.
Who's the better wrestler? Kyle Fletcher has more star matches,
Well, that's the thing. I would think that there's probably a lot of AEW fans who scoffed and, probably complained about that list and just looked at the match output and said, how could you put Dominic Mysterio over Kyle Fletcher? But that's, you got to take the big picture view here. And when you look at what they have Dom doing in the position and the spot that he's in right now, yeah, I can understand him being at number 1. I mean, he's probably going into Survivor Series this weekend and beating John Cena. Like, that's a good prime spot for him to be in.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I'm trying to see where Javon Evans now ranked on this list. Now that you mention it, not Reddit. I don't want to look at Reddit. Let's see.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that he wouldn't be at least in that top 10 mix. I mean, he's been all over the place this year too. I mean, they've had him on the main roster. They've had him in NXT.
Yeah.
Now he's in AAA.
Yeah, I think Mariah May or Blake Monroe is ranked way too high. I mean, she just got here, really. I don't know why she's number 5.
I'd have Javon over her.
Takeshita was number 6. Jack Perry was number 7. No, but what list is this? This is last year's list?
Yeah, what the fuck are you looking at? Like,
no, this is 2024. I put in, what the fuck is going on?
Fucking Jack Perry. What are you looking at?
I think Jack Perry was actually on the list, but like further down the list.
Yeah,
here.
well, but not over some of these names.
Everything's a fucking ad here. All right, Obafemi, Roxanne, Leon. Javon Evans was number 11, actually.
Okay.
So Vikingo number 12. All the notable names: Lyra, Valkyrie number 15, Sol Ruka 19, Jordan Grace 20, Jack Perry was number 22, Danny Garcia number 21, Hook number 23, Megan Bain 24. So we do have some AEW talent here, but further down the list, Kevin Knight 26, and that was it. Axiom, Kalani, Shota, and Atlantis Jr. round out the top 10.
Fucking JD over here looking at the wrong list. Like, hey, wait, hold on a second. Dave Bautista, number 7. Randy Orton. What year is this from? What are you looking at over there?
So yeah, Javon Evans number 11. I thought he would be higher too. I don't know, but he'll be in the top 5 next year, no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But let's keep this full gear train rolling here. Party match: Kenny Omega, Jurassic Express, Josh Alexander, Young Bucks. This was for $1 million.
The announcer should have put their pinky to their mouth when they said that.
Well,
$1 million.
I would have much rather watch Austin Powers than this match. Again, fine for what it was. I appreciate Jurassic Express. I'm glad they're together. I have a liking to Jurassic Express. I hope that they add a lot of value to the tag team division. But Jason's laughing at me because I like the dinosaur.
No. Akilos in the chat's like, Doink not on the list is criminal. I agree. Should have had Doink on there too. Maybe Mike Rotunda. He should have been on there.
The whole story about this was they felt like the Bucks needed the money to get back to where they used to be because they got shunned and they were embarrassed and they had their EVP titles taken away from them. So the random money matches were happening with absolutely no rhyme or reason. And somewhere along the way, they turned it into this little mini storyline here where the Bucks were using it as a crutch to get back to where they feel like they should be and get some of that power back that they had when they were EVPs. All the same while, Jason, Kenny Omega's been kind of tormented here by the Don Callis family, and the Don Callis family comes on in, namely Don Callis, and he gives the Bucks their entrance and the pyro and all this fame and fortune again, and he wants to welcome them into the family, but in return, they want to kind of kill off Kenny Omega here. And the whole story was, are they going to take the money and forget their friendship, their long-rooted, deep friendship with Kenny Omega? Or are they going to fuck the money, forget the Don Callis family, and go back and rejoin the Elite and get the old band back together? So that's exactly what we saw play out here. How do you feel about this story here? Because I know a lot of people, they used to watch being the Elite, and it was the big thing. I just don't see the interest being there for another Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Jurassic Express reunion here with the Elite. Do you see this kind of being a big thing in 2025 going into 26?
I think it could be a big thing. Not as big as it used to be, but I think the Bucks have been heel long enough that it actually feels fresh if they're going to be in a different role like this. So the only question is, like, where do you take it? Like, are they going to be consistently together on television as like a faction full time? Or is it just that they've made up and they're friends again and they're all going to kind of go their separate ways and do different things? That's the only question we don't really know the answer to. I was happy they did it this way because my fear was that they were really heavily hinting at an Elite reunion, and I thought that maybe they were going to swerve us, and I'm like, all right. Like, I was hoping that wasn't going to be the case. And also, like, as much as I've been amused by the Broke Buck stuff, right, and there was some good entertaining television out of it, you do get to a point where it's like, so what are they going to do? Are they just going to win the $1 million and then what? Do the same thing they did before and go out and spend it until they get broke again? Like, it almost like you had reached the end of like where you could go with this. So I think they really didn't have another choice but to follow through on the reunion and get kind of the band back together. I don't know if they're going to loop Hangman back into this also at some point, but I think they did what needed to be done. I just don't know going forward. Are we looking at a trio? Are we looking, are they going to go after trios titles? Like, I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Well, we also don't really know the status of Kenny Omega and how long he's going to be around. It's like he's taking a much reduced schedule because of his health, so we don't know how long he's going to be there.
Yeah, like he's not in the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of questions. We don't know. We don't know what Omega's availability is going to be, but I think doing the reunion was the right move to make, giving the fans what they wanted. And I think it was, I said, it was kind of stupid because they followed Callis up the ramp and they have the bags of money. And then they look back at the ring and they see Kenny being beaten up and they're having this crisis of conscience. What should we do? And they drop the money and they run back to the ring. And I'm like, you could have held on to the money and run back to the ring.
Yes.
Just saying.
Don Callis, let's go to the bar and spend some of that money on some drinks. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, what an enabler he is. These guys literally went broke. He's like, we got to go spend it. Let's go spend it. But like, why did you drop the money? Like, hold on to that shit. You give me a bag with $1 million in it. I'm holding on to that for dear life. I'm not letting that go.
Yeah, the Bucks. So
then Hechicero ended up with the bags of money in the back later.
Well, good for him. He can learn some more spells, Hechicero,
Sure.
Party match here. Alexander and the Bucks win, and then the Elite got back together. Omega went in for a hug with the Bucks, and all is right there. So we'll see what happens going into World's End. Statlander defending the AEW Women's Championship against TBS champion Mercedes Moné.
I told you. You doubted me.
I know. I know.
You doubted
me. You were correct. You got your time limit there. So StreamYard time limit. Stay in studio. They tell me nothing's wrong, says StreamYard. Sure.
Yeah, right. All right,
sure. As I speak to an AI bot over the situation. Thank you.
Yeah, keep an eye on this.
Yeah, Jason was correct. Mercedes Moné fails to win the big one for a second time this year. Hopefully this is the real story that we're going for here. She would have to drop the other championships, which I don't really see her losing 13 other championships. But, I mean, we'll wait and see there. As far as this match, I thought this was, outside the tag team match, the best thing on the show. I thought this was the best Statlander-Mercedes match that they've had out of the three. The discussion that we had earlier was the fact that this match was poorly placed later in the show. This went on right before the main event, which took everybody out of it because everybody was so fucking exhausted by this one because they seen everything and anything that could happen on a pro wrestling show. And then Mercedes... yeah, Jesse, I'm sorry.
You thought this was the strongest of their matches?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was probably the weakest of their match. It was still great, but I actually thought it was probably the weakest of all three matches.
Yeah, I just like the pace. I think the fans also were kind of bored with the pace because Mercedes started hot and kind of quick, and then Mercedes kind of settled into that working the arm to take the Saturday Night Fever away. And
psychology.
Yeah, that's why I enjoyed it more than the other ones. And I think a lot of people didn't really appreciate that and said, this match is boring and whatnot. But, I mean, I don't know how many more times we need to tell you that Mercedes knows what the fuck she's doing in there. And to me, I think Stat is probably her best opponent. I would even take this match over most of what she's done this year, outside the Tony match. So I don't know how you felt about the overall vibe going into this, Jason, and then coming out of it with Mercedes losing. Where do you think this is going now? Do you genuinely see her losing these other championships to then kind of give those up and then win the big one eventually sometime next year? I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, that has always been, in my mind, where this story was headed. Now, I can't tell you that every championship... First of all, some of the championships she has, like the belts that she carries around, are actually not active championships. Like, she's not defending the Owen Hart belt, okay? So we're not really talking about her defending 13 titles. Realistically, maybe it's 10. Do I see her dropping all 10? It's possible that there are some that will not get dropped and will be vacated, but I think most, if not all of them, I think she's going to go back out there. She's going to fly to Italy. She's going to go here. She may go to Malaysia because that was the last championship she won. She won that at the House of Glory show from Noor Diana, who works for the Malaysian promotion over there. She's going to go around the horn. And as a matter of fact, I think most of these championships actually are international. I think pretty much all of them are. So I think she's going to go around and lose them. I think this is where the crash out happens. And it's always been, in my mind, the story of she cannot win the one championship that matters the most. And she wins all these other titles. Now, what would happen after every time she would want to win a new belt, right? We'd come on Dynamite. Mercedes has another celebration. She had more celebrations than I had birthday parties as a kid. So this was like a constant thing, but it's all to like make herself feel better and make herself feel, indestructible. But she lost to Toni Storm and now she lost to Chris Statlander and she just can't do it. So this is where the downfall begins. And she has to lose the championships one by one. If she had gone in there full gear and won the title and beaten Stat for a third time, first of all, it makes Stat look terrible. But also it doesn't make sense that she would win the world championship before she had a chance to tell that story with all these other belts. Like, it had to happen this way. So you say she's not going to drop all of them. I think she is going to drop most, if not all of them. There's no rush to get the world championship on her. If she wins it next year, I don't think we're looking at her winning it until at least All In.
Yeah.
It's going to be a while. There's no need to rush that. She's not going anywhere. So, yes, I think that she'll take her time losing all these other championships, and all these promotions are going to get to have her back in at least one more time, which, they love that. So that's how I think this is going to go.
Does she win any more championships outside AEW before we actually start kind of getting that story and that ball rolling? Do you see her adding any more gold? No?
No, I don't think it doesn't fit the story.
Okay.
I don't think that fits the story. It doesn't make sense. I think the moment she loses that first belt, it's just she loses them all.
Snowball effect. That's it.
It has to be. I mean, for her to, if she loses that first independent belt and then a few weeks later goes out and wins another one, that doesn't make sense. It just it ruins the whole story, ruins the whole narrative.
Yeah. It
has to be like you said.
You basically undo that championship title change when she loses that first champion. It was like, what the fuck was the point of it?
Yeah, I mean, it gets in her head, and it just had, like you said, the snowball effect. It just dominoes, and she just drops them one by one.
I hope that plays out because she desperately needs a substantial story for her because she hasn't really had one since she's gotten here. So the closest thing to a story that she's told was the Willow match that she wrestled Willow, that first Double or Nothing, and that was just based off the injury that she had previously the year before. So that wasn't even really a story. It was just kind of a callback. Like, I want my match because I lost unfairly because I got injured. But she needs this, and I thought this match was really, really good. There was a great spot here where she actually fired off not 3 amigos, but 14 of them, 14 amigos. There was a great spot by Statlander with a Blue Thunder Bomb, and she went into somewhere down the stretch.
On the floor.
On the floor. Which is surprising, being that Mercedes, she was kind of not really a factor in that blood and guts match. She took that bump on the outside here. Statlander had that great rib breaker that I thought looked fucking brutal. Statlander went for Saturday Night Fever here. She managed a package pile driver. Monet, she looked for a Meteora, was caught, only to switch and hit a Poison Rana, which I thought was the beginning and the end here, but she took a lot of time to follow up and allowed Stat to get back into it. She avoided a head scissor, and then she countered into a Saturday Night Fever for the win. I'm glad that they have put some stock in Stat because she's been there since the very beginning. Like Jason has already alluded, it wouldn't have made sense to have Mercedes win this championship. And this is basically the same discussion that we had going into All In. Why should she hold the top 2 women's championships in the company? Like, lose one first before you start going off and win the other one. Like, it doesn't make sense. And you're taking a bunch of opportunities away from other women to beat you, which is the whole premise of why we're doing this.
Yeah, and to go back to what I said, like, the reason why you don't need to rush into, like, her finally winning the world title yet, she still has the TBS title.
Yeah.
So she could start to lose these other ones. And I don't know if maybe the TBS title should be the last one that she loses. See, that probably would make more sense. So maybe she doesn't even lose that necessarily until, I don't know, maybe Double or Nothing or something. But like the question then becomes like, who does she lose to? Who is that next TBS champion?
I've lobbied for Tekla.
A heel?
I don't know.
Should be a babyface though.
Yeah, I mean, you could go Harley. I don't know, Willow maybe. I think Willow would be a great representation for that championship. I don't know that they have plenty of women.
Again, you could do Willow, but they've already done that before. Yeah. Like we've seen her and Willow. So I'm trying to just think of who would be a good person, preferably a babyface. Who would be, because that title has been held by a heel.
Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter.
Jamie Hayter. There you go.
There you go.
Anyway, Mercedes loses, and we will see how we follow up. She was very angry on social media, and I'm assuming she'll take her anger to TV. What she does at World's End is going to be a nice question, too, going into their television, leading into that. Main event, Hangman Page and Samoa Joe steel cage match for the AEW World Championship. This was finally the main event of the show, 12:04 a.m. We got this match to begin. After we just got 2 blood and guts matches 10 days before, we got a steel cage match here between these two. As far as steel cage matches go, Jason, I don't really care. There's just a lot I didn't care about coming into this. The thing with this is the whole premise of this match was, and I'm going to go back to Wrestle Dream, where it was even fucking ridiculous that this match came about the way that it did. Paige and Joe, they were on each other's side, and Joe helped Paige win the championship from Moxley. He got taken out at All In. He went to war with AEW to battle the Death Riders. And then they want to sell me on a story where Samoa Joe is looking at Paige drop the Trios Championship in the middle of the ring, and we got a match for Wrestle Dream. Apparently, he felt disrespected. So we got that match at Wrestle Dream. Joe turned heel, and they only turned him heel to basically give us this second match because that was the best choice that they had instead of building up another nonsensical 3-week, 4-week match, build and a match with Paige, and it goes nowhere, just against another random opponent that don't really matter in anything. So you might as well just go back to Samoa Joe, do the heel turn, get a second match out of it. They're all waiting for MJF to get back anyway. So we discussed, is Paige going to beat Joe again after turning heel? I mean, he just won the championship. I mean, it's been 3-4 months now. Uneventful, but it's not been a long reign, 100+ days or so. And then Joe, if he loses, he looks like a loser. And Joe, he's great and all, and he's one of my personal favorites, as is Jason, but, he's not bulletproof. You can't just beat him and say, all right, on to the next. Like, at some point, he's going to feel the effects of losing, especially after turning him heel. So I looked at this and I said, I would think making Joe the champion just for a short reign, I think that works out better than keeping the belt on Paige. And we discussed last week these fucking long-winded title runs in WWE where they have this set thing where Cody Rhodes needs to hold the belt till WrestleMania to drop it. They're like, no, bro, I appreciate a short title reign. Like, if that's what you want to do, I am fully invested in doing that here. And that's exactly what they did. Joe winning this match made sense, not only because of the heel turn, but as far as Paige's title run, I felt like it was one of the worst title runs of the entire year out of any world champion. And I felt like AEW Creative ruined everything. They didn't really set him up for success. They did nothing with him as world champion because of what we discussed during the All In season. It wasn't even supposed to be Paige or Ospreay. It was meant for Darby. It was almost like Paige or Ospreay were a second and third choice for Tony Khan. He went with the Cowboy in Texas, but he didn't really have a plan because his plans revolved around Darby, but Darby went to go climb Mount Everest. So I don't really care about that Samoa Joe's the champion because I appreciate a short title run, and I feel like with Swerve back, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, I like that it makes things a little more interesting now. Coming out of this show. If Hangman just went in there and retained, I just assumed that MJF would have showed up at the end of this pay-per-view. That was the former champion I was expecting to see. We got a different former champion. So that would have been the predictable way to go, and then you set up World's End. This way, it opens it up to other possibilities that I wasn't really thinking about. And that doesn't even, speak to what happened with Hook. I didn't think that Hook would factor into the finish of the World Championship match, but here we are. But it also kind of makes sense why this whole partnership with him and Eddie Kingston has been so throwaway. Like, ever since Eddie Kingston came back, it's just been so uneventful. And then I saw them on the pre-show, and they had that match with the Workhorsemen that went like 2 minutes, and it was a nothing match. And I'm like, what are we doing with these two? And by the time we got to the end of the pay-per-view, it was like, okay. Because Eddie Kingston came out here, toward the end of the match. But like, just to kind of take it back to the beginning here, because, Joe bled a gusher in this match. And it was pretty early on, too, in the match. And I think it got
5 minutes.
Yeah, like in the first 5 minutes, and then I think it got progressively worse because I think he got hit in the head a few times with Hangman's boot. So then he's just like, I mean, my God, the blood that was pouring out of this man's head. The match itself, I don't really, honestly, like, even talking about it now, I don't remember too much else about the body of the match. I think a lot of it was just like the sight of Joe standing there with all that blood is the main thing I remember. And then my mind skips to the finish and what we had there. My mind
and then Hobbs ripping the fucking lock off the cage.
Well, again, we kind of talked about this with Blood and Guts and just how ridiculous it was that people were freely coming in and out of the cage. And it's like, we got to put these two now in a steel cage to keep the ops out. It's like, yeah, I don't think so. So, of course, Shibata comes out. Hobbs just with his bare hands rips the lock off the door. And people are just, Hook comes in. People are just getting in the cage freely. But it all built to the big swerve because there was a ref bump. At which, I mean, in a cage match, did there really need to be a ref bump? Probably not. But they did the ref bump. Hook comes in, and he ends up blasting Hangman in the head with the championship. You got that smirk on his face, and he turns around, and he hits him in the head with the belt. And then Joe covers him and wins the championship. And the announcers are like, was this the plan all along? Was it all a ruse? And Hook never really, left the ops. That's obviously the case here. That's obviously the story they're going with. And I liked it. Because it wasn't something that I didn't see that part of it coming. But also, it opens up now the possibility of Eddie Kingston getting involved in this. because again, he's not been involved in anything meaningful since he came back. So this now puts him directly in the mix because, of course, he's going to, you would think he was, would want revenge on Hook. Like, you've betrayed me here. What are you doing here? So now he could be involved in this story. And Joe gets a second run with the championship, which I will never be against because Joe is fantastic. Joe can cut a promo better than anybody in wrestling, even today in 2025. Mm-hmm. So you have the belt back on him. Now the Ops all of a sudden become the de facto top heel faction in this company over the Death Riders. They're now, in my opinion, at a level above where the Death Riders were.
Good.
Good. Well, because their disintegration hopefully is coming very soon. So now that's the top group. And on top of that, we had the return of Swerve Strickland when this match was over because Hangman was in some trouble and the lights went out. And then we see Prince Nana, and then out comes Swerve, and he's got new music, and he's looking. I compared
swole.
It to when, Swerve is swole. I compared it to when Triple H came back at Madison Square Garden in 2002, and he looked like a comic book character. Swerve wasn't quite that exaggerated, but he kind of had that physique a little bit. He's been working hard in the gym, and he's bulked up. And he comes down to the ring, and Joe is like the parting of the Red Sea because they have all these geeks in there from the Ops Dojo, right? And I see this, and I'm like, why are these guys out here? They can only be out here for one reason, to get their asses kicked.
The Ops Dojo.
The Ops Dojo. And they figure, oh, well, Hangman's laying here. He's all yours. And, of course, Swerve attacks them instead. And then we have that parting image of Hangman and Swerve standing next to each other, looking at the Ops. And I don't even think Hangman turned to look at, who even knows if, like in the story, if he knew Swerve was standing next to him. But you have that rich history between the two of them. And now, like, are they going to be allies? Or are there still going to be issues between them? But for Tony Khan, it's huge to get Swerve back right now. I wasn't expecting him back this quickly. And Ospreay's not going to be back for a while. MJF, I mean, he could be back at any time, but he's been gone. Copeland's been gone. It's a big thing to get someone like Swerve back in that top mix. And that makes things a little more interesting now. You've got Joe, you've got Swerve, you've got Hangman. You can work Kingston into this, as far as the stuff with Hook. And that's really all I wanted out of this. Like, give me something different. Give me something that isn't so predictable. And something that, frankly, just doesn't involve the Death Riders in the top mix. And so we have that now. And MJF is still out there. He's still got that contract. We don't know when he's going to cash it in. It's looking now like that won't be World's End. I don't think that Joe, I know some people think Joe is just going to drop the belt, to Swerve maybe at the next pay-per-view. I think they give Joe a little bit more length as far as being the champion. I don't think you need to take the title right off of him, but he is going to end up being the transitional champion. He's going to transition that to somebody else. So the only question is that MJF? Is that Swerve? I don't see Joe and MJF again. I know we had that at World's End 2 years ago, but heel on heel, I don't see that.
No, I think Tony Khan would play off the fact that MJF and Swerve have had some backstage altercations over the last 12 to 18 months, and I think that's the major program to begin the year. Now, I don't know when Joe holds the championship too. I just feel like Tony loves to book with dates and months in mind. Now, does he hold it till Revolution? Does he drop it at Dynasty like he did last year to Swerve? Because I know Tony loves doing that. And kind of playing off the fact that, well, we did it at Dynasty last year. Let's do it again at Dynasty this year. And that's why we were talking about MJF. World's End 2 years ago, he lost everything. Maybe he gets everything back at this year's World's End. It's the way Tony Khan's mind operates, if you guys have been watching AEW for 6 years. But do you see it happening at Revolution or longer? Because I don't really see Swerve hanging around doing much of anything with Hangman without the championship. I think that's the whole premise of why he's back.
Yeah, I mean, also getting the belt off of Hangman and having it on Joe, like, you don't have to go right back to Swerve and Hangman now. Like, you can return to that eventually, but now you don't have to like go right back to that. MJF and Swerve, I think, is the play here because they've teased it before, like at least a couple of different times.
Yeah,
but we haven't gotten it. So I think that's the play here. So the only question is, do they go from Joe to Swerve, and then Swerve to MJF? And then play that out for a while? or do they go a different way with it? Because again, this cash-in thing, you can't just cash in at any time. You have to announce it in advance. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, just having Swerve just turn around and beat Joe and just take the belt from him in a month or two, that doesn't do much for me. I think that would be doing a disservice to Joe. But now you've got a mix of guys now, in that top mix. And that's not everybody, but like those seem to be the key players now moving forward. It's a great spot for Hobbs to be in, that he's involved in this group now that has the world championship. I'm happy for him. He's someone who should have been in this mix a long time ago, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the kind of lineage is going to be here and who it's going to bounce around to. There's a lot of different options, but that's what makes it good.
If MJF has that contract and he's got to cash in the way that you have, or what Tony had changed from just randomly cashing in to now announcing it a week in advance, I would rather him do that with Joe and not Swerve. I would rather him take the belt off Joe and not Swerve, and then build MJF as the heel with Swerve chasing. And then the way that I look at it is we may be looking at All In without Ospreay with the injury that he had. So maybe Tony's line of thinking is MJF Swerve at All In, and that's the biggest main event that he can do with two of his biggest guys.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, that's still a long ways off.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot can happen. A lot can change between now and then. Yeah, I don't know. MJF and Joe heel on heel. I don't know if that's what he wants to do. Yeah, I feel like MJF, successfully cashing in to win the championship, as one of their top sinister, asshole heels, that he should beat someone the fans actually like and can cheer for and get behind. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to matter to him or not, but I like that they have Swerve back in that mix. Swerve, Hangman Joe, MJF. That's a good core group right there. And so, yeah, I mean, I think they're in a good spot as far as that goes. It just comes down to the story they choose to tell. As we always say, it's the story that they are going to tell with these people.
Yes, and Swerve and Hangman have probably one of the top 3 stories in AEW history. So I think that's great as far as not only a presentation to see those guys, but the promos and the segments that we could get, the backstory that we got from those guys. We need more of that. And like Jason said, Joe, now Eddie Kingston, who is one of their top baby faces, why he wasn't automatically kind of just in that top spot and not hanging around there instead of hanging around on Collision with the Luchadors and Hook and the Workhorsemen. It's just so fucking stupid to bring him back. Wrestling Big Bill in his first match back. It's just so stupid that you got Eddie Kingston back healthy, and that's how you're using him. So the World Championship scene looks now a lot different than it did only like 3 or 4 weeks ago, which is great.
Yeah. And again, I mean, you say, why not just bring Eddie Kingston back and put him right in the top mix? I don't mean like, Eddie should have come back and been in like the world title picture, but like if and obviously Tony now we see had a different story in mind for him with the Hook stuff, but I was just looking at it going like there's a story there with him and Moxley, and maybe him factoring into the fall of Moxley with the Death Riders. So you could have gone that way too with it, but obviously he just had a different story in mind.
Do you look at the Hook situation as this was the plan all along, or was it a situation realistically from like a real point of view? Like he was failing with this Eddie Kingston thing, and they look like they made a mistake and kind of reverted back to what they originally had. Was it something that was planned, or did they realize that they fucked up?
No, I feel like it's probably something that was planned.
Okay.
There had to be some sort of reason why they linked him and Hook up together.
All right.
So at least when it comes to like their top program or their top story, anything involving the championship, I would imagine that he's got some idea for where he wants to go with it. Whether it's something you like or don't like is a different story altogether. But for this, I suspect that there was a sense of, okay, here's what we're going to do.
Well, there's your Full Gear breakdown. It was a good show. I mean, it wasn't without its faults, though, but it's certainly not one of the top Full Gears that we've seen AEW produce for sure. But listen, we got the Continental Classic coming up on Wednesday. Let's go through this A and B block here. Blue League. We got the Blue League consisting of Konosuke Takeshita, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, Mascara Dorada. Gold League. Darby Allin, Pac, Kevin Knight, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kyle Fletcher, and Kazuchika Okada.
There's my league.
That is a damn good league. Yeah.
That's the superior of the two leagues.
Yeah. Now, looking at this, Jason, I was outside of some obviously notable names, Takeshita and Okada, who's the unified champion, and Moxley, Darby, Kyle Fletcher. I looked at it as first glance, I'm like, could he have done better? Maybe, but we all know how these promoters are. They're just afraid of handing out losses. So you look at somebody like Roddy and Mascara Dorada, who are in there just to take the losses, and I'm sure Kevin Knight is going to be the guy over there to take some losses. But I think if he looks at this the way that I hope he's looking at it, this could be this is the third Continental Classic, by the way, but this could be the one Continental Classic out of all three we've seen so far that has the most story to come out of it. And I think they need that, because last year it was just match after match after match with no real kind of, from a fan's perspective, watching the show, we love dissecting storylines and wondering if it's going to go here, if it's going to go there, what's happening next, what's not going to happen. I love doing what we do when it's revolving around that. I can't stand when it's just matches and it's like, all right, move on to the next match, and there's no real direction for anything. I think we have a good potential for that to be this year's Continental Classic, and I hope that Tony is thinking along those same lines.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at what we have here, I like the way that there seems to be story, really, more story elements than we've seen in the past. Weaved into this thing. And the main thing is to build to Okada and Takeshita. I mean, that has to be the end goal here. Like, that should be your final match. They're obviously in different leagues, and the goal should be to build to Okada and Takeshita. But even if you look beyond Okada and Takeshita in that story, like you look in the different leagues, and we mentioned Moxley and Claudio, they're going to have to wrestle each other. And that could directly lead into this big angle with the Death Riders that I think they're probably going to save until those two actually wrestle each other. You've got even like Jet Speed, right? They're going to have to wrestle each other, right? Speedball and Kevin Knight. I think they're in the same. Let me see. Are they in the same?
They're
league?
in the same block. Yeah.
They are.
Same
Yeah.
league, yeah.
No, they're in the same block. So, they're going to have to wrestle each other, and then you just build to what hopefully will be the obvious final match. What I'm a little unsure about, I don't know if Tony really clarified this. If this is for the Continental Championship or is this for the Unified Championship?
Well, where did I take this news from? I think I got this from WrestlingNews.co. They said that this is the lineup. The tournament will conclude at AEW World's End, where the new Continental Champion will be crowned, and both league final matches and the championship final will take place at the pay-per-view. So
Yes,
20-minute time limit draws, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Everyone's banned from ringside. Same rules.
So this is where it becomes like a little ridiculous, because you have the Continental title is unified, right, with the international title, and so we have this unified championship, which they have said before, the lineage of the other two titles are still active, which means technically, I guess, if Okada was like, hey, this week I'm going to defend my international title, he could do that, but we haven't seen any of that so far. It's just unified.
Well, why would we?
Well, let's not get into the absurdity of all this. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it just going to be a case where only the Continental title is on the line? If anybody other than Okada walks out of this tournament with that championship, then I guess there's no unification anymore. If there's no unification, there's no need for a unified title. So does that title then go on the shelf for a little bit?
Well, so what you're saying is, if someone, theoretically, this should be for the unified championship, because you said that the Continental Championship lineage lives on in the unified title. So whoever wins this is still the Continental Champion, but now branded the unified champion. So if someone wins this championship, do the lineages of the Continental and the International Championship live on in this one championship? And for forever, for another 5 or 6 years, whoever is this champion is now also the international champion as well? Do they keep documentation of who the international champion is, though?
Did they keep up with the rankings when they had the rankings?
No.
Okay. So there you go. Maybe we just answered it.
I guess so.
It's more convoluted than it needs to be.
We've discussed this individually and on this show that this should be for a number one contendership for the AEW World Title at Revolution. Honestly, I think that's a bigger prize than whatever the fuck this championship is. which he's already devalued now by creating something that basically was the international championship and the national championship. But the national championship is being defended all across the globe. A national championship.
The national championship. Yes.
I don't know,
We had
man.
an international championship, which served that purpose, but now they have a national title that will be defended internationally.
Don't forget the All-Atlantic title.
Well, that doesn't exist anymore.
I know, it used to.
That's now the international title.
Yes.
Which is unified with these other belts. Are you following along, everybody?
I don't know, man. This is ridiculous.
When are we going to get the women's national title?
Don't give him any ideas. I'm still waiting for the AEW Intergalactic Championship.
Well, you know it's coming. We're going to get a women's national title soon.
WWE will round out here on TNT with WWE. Couple of happenings on Monday Night Raw. By the way, did you watch SmackDown? I know you were at the Hog Show on Friday. Did you catch up on SmackDown? I thought it was a solid show.
I did. I caught up on it. I enjoyed as I usually do, the Ilya Dragunov match was with JD, right?
Yes. Not me, not me, but McDonough, yeah.
No, JD was not on SmackDown wrestling.
I went last
Ilya
30 seconds with Dragunov. Give you a break.
Yeah, no. But yeah, no, I saw the show. It was all right. You know, the thing about JD McDonough, it's interesting. I feel like they have put him in positions recently to really be featured in a way that he hasn't been. So he was in there. I mean, he'll go down as the last person to ever be pinned by John Cena on Monday Night Raw. He went in there and had this great match with Dragunov in the U.S. Title Open Challenge. They had him on Raw last night wrestling Rey Mysterio. So it feels to me like, I don't know if they're testing the waters for something more with him, or they just realize, because I've described him as like Sheamus in that he is a very consistent hand for them on that roster.
I said that same thing on Friday. He's in that category of he doesn't have bad matches.
Yeah, like you know what you're going to get when he's out there. Now, most of the time he's looking up at the lights. He doesn't really win. So I don't know if maybe they're testing the waters for something more where he will actually start winning matches. But when he's out there, it doesn't matter who he's working with. I mean, the guy knows how to have a great match. So yeah, I saw that. That was the best part of the show. As far as the other stuff they did, I mean, the Cody promo stood out to me. It was brief, but I thought that was a great, fiery baby fit. That would have been a great go home promo for War Games.
Yes.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that Melo Bronson rematch was really good too.
That was good. It went the way I figured it would.
Yep.
Again, I don't know if you want to get into probably I won't say anything. I mean, there's spoilers out there because SmackDown was taped already.
I thought people were trolling me on Friday. I spent a good 5 minutes trying to figure out what was going on here, and I know you spoiled it on the sound off, so I don't give a shit. Spoil it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, and I didn't really actually get into this part, but there is a segment that is coming up on SmackDown this Friday where Chelsea Green is having a celebration for
this sounds awful.
Regaining her Women's United States Championship, which ends up being foiled by the Women's Champion, Jade Cargill, who just comes out and lays her out. And that's it. So they put the U.S. title back on Chelsea, and they're in a situation, as they are with Jade, frankly, where they don't really have any credible challengers for her. So they appear to be feuding the Women's Champion with the Women's U.S. Champion, who is being squashed by Jade Cargill here.
Bro, who in that company hates the United States Women's Championship? It's got to be Bruce Pritchard. Got to be.
I mean, it's just a mystery to me how they have handled this thing all throughout the year.
Who asked for this championship to be created, and what management executive is fucking with them? That's what I want.
Well, I mean, they clearly had no real plan for it. And then, frankly, the other stuff that I read is far. Now, I'm not even counting. They have a Survivor Series elimination match coming up. That may end up being good. I don't know. But the other stuff on the show, as far as the John Cena tournament, and we're going to get into that stuff now. Yeah. I mean, it goes to my overall feeling on this tournament in general. Now that we're probably more than halfway through it at this point, or about halfway through it. I mean, just uninspired, just disappointing,
not
underwhelming.
Fun.
Yeah, there's just so many words I could use to describe it. And then it doesn't help that they have now been bitten by the injury bug. when it comes to a couple of different people.
I don't think. Listen, call me a fucking tinfoil hat conspiracy guy. I don't think Sheamus is hurt. I don't. I think they pulled him out for whatever reason. I think it's because they don't want to hand anyone a loss.
For what reason? For what?
They don't want to hand anyone a loss. That's why.
Who cares? He loses. They're protecting Sheamus. What are they protecting him from?
What is he injured from? What did he get hurt from?
I went back and I watched. He did have tape on his shoulder when they had that 6-man match. So, because that was the last match he had. It was him and Cena and Ray, right, in Madison Square Garden. He did have kinesio tape or whatever they call it on his shoulder. And supposedly it's a shoulder injury that he has. And no one has said anything officially, so maybe he was already hurt. He went into that match, and then it got diagnosed or it got worse. I'm not saying it's impossible to conceive that he's not really hurt, but he did have tape on his shoulder even in that match. So let's assume he's serious. I say seriously. Let's assume it's a legitimate injury, okay? Here's what blows my mind. We're just going to jump all over the place here. So we have this tournament, and Sheamus is taken out because of a supposed shoulder injury. The match that's coming up on SmackDown this Friday, it's going to be LA Knight. It was supposed to be LA Knight and Sheamus. So instead, it's LA Knight against a mystery opponent. And I can't beat WWE up too much about this, because if we assume that it's a legitimate injury and they didn't know that they were going to have to bounce Sheamus out of this thing until Friday, they taped 2 shows that night. So they didn't really have a whole lot of time to come up with a plan B, fly somebody in, get a fun name, right? But still, when I saw the name, I thought that the spoiler results that I was reading, that they were not legit. I thought it was maybe a troll job.
Yes.
Like, this can't be real.
My chat was telling me, JD, it's The Miz, because I was like, oh, this is Joe Hendry. Now they're going to fill in Joe Hendry. Like, no, it's The Miz. Like, what?
The
He just fucking
Miz.
wrestled. What are you talking about? It's The Miz.
He lost to Jey Uso in the opening round of this tournament. So, yes, it's The Miz. And I'm like,
oh, God. I might not even cover SmackDown on Friday, to be quite honest.
Well, I'm not going to be. I have another Thanksgiving dinner, so I'm not even going to be around on my end doing SmackDown, which I don't really, looking at these fucking spoiler results, I don't feel too bad about that. But like, that's just another example of it. But man, like, we saw what happened last night, right? We had a couple of matches last night, one of which I was looking forward to, one of which was Gunther and Carmelo Hayes. Gunther and Javon Evans had the best match of the tournament so far. Like, that was a lot of fun.
Wait, Gunther and Javon Evans?
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything. Obviously, it's your opinion. I thought it was a very good match. I actually enjoyed Melo and Gunther last night more than Javon Evans and Gunther. I did.
Yeah, no, I thought Gunther and Javon Evans is the best match of the tournament so far. All right. Gunther and Melo, their match was also very good. And then we had on the flip side, Solo Sikoa and Penta. Now, you look at this and you say, well, all right, we know how this is going to go, right? Yeah. There's no way that they're going to beat Penta. And they wrestle for 5 minutes, and they do a spot that we've seen a million times from Penta on the outside. It's I call a simple Rana, and I'm not saying anybody can do it, but like, he does it all the time. It's a Rana off the top of the barricade, and he takes down Solo. But he lands on his shoulder, and he's down. He's not getting up. And the doctor comes over, and I realized like this was legit when Solo got back in the ring, and they were going to a planned commercial break. So, watching on the VPN, I saw through the commercial break, they never took the camera off Solo. They didn't show Penta. They just kept it on Solo. And Solo looked like, I don't know if you've seen the video of it, but like he looked
angry.
He looked angry, but he looked like there were people saying that he was having a panic attack. I've not had a panic attack. I don't know what the signs are of it, but he was like breathing heavily. His arm was shaking and he looked concerned. And so I'm like watching this going, can you take the fucking camera off this poor bastard? Like, put it on the announcers or something. Like, the camera's right up at his face. So then they come back from commercial and the referee waves the match off. And Penta was frustrated. He was banging on top of the barricade. Solo did not exactly look happy. Like, he did not look happy. He wasn't selling it like, oh man, I moved on. Like, he was pissed. And there was somebody in the crowd who said something that he didn't like.
Yes.
And he called him a bitch and said, fuck you.
Yes.
And then he, walked to the back. So I'm sure a lot of that was just him being upset that somebody got hurt. He can't blame himself. I mean, it wasn't anything that he did. It's not his fault. But here we are now in a situation where, I said this last night, like, what is going on in this company with shoulder injuries? Sheamus injures his shoulder, he's out of the tournament. Penta injures his shoulder, he's out of the tournament. Seth Rollins injures his shoulder, has to forfeit the World Heavyweight Championship. Liv Morgan injures her shoulder, has to have surgery. Chad Gable injures his shoulder, has to have surgery. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
I don't know.
It's like, I've never seen anything like it. So now we have 2 injuries in this tournament that have not helped. I mean, the tournament wasn't great to begin with. But now we're looking at Gunther against Solo Sikoa. And then I see today, Brian Alvarez is like, oh, it didn't change the finish of the match. Solo was going to win anyway.
What? I didn't even read that.
Yeah, he said Solo Sikoa was planned to win the match anyway, so it didn't affect the finish of the match.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't believe that for a second.
No way.
Now, I understand that you could look at it and say, well, he's got a Survivor Series match coming up on SmackDown this week. So they wanted to keep him strong. Even if you look at it that way, I cannot fathom that the plan was to do Gunther and Solo in the next round. I can't believe that.
I don't believe that for a split second.
I don't believe that. So, but that's what we have now. We have Gunther and Solo Sikoa in the next round. Now, look, even if Penta would have moved on, it doesn't matter. Gunther is going to the finals of this tournament.
Billy in the chat says Sap said it was going to end up that way too.
Well, look, I have a very difficult time believing that.
So
I have a very difficult time believing that, but even if it's true, like, who made that call? Like, who thought that would be a good idea?
Sesame Street Levesque made that call. Who do you think made the call? The guy who doesn't know how to have any fucking fun and doesn't want to hand out losses to people because, God forbid, we have one of our top guys lose. Yeah, now we're without Penta and Gunther, and honestly, I wish Penta nothing but the best because he's fucking great. I wish him speedy recovery, whatever it is. We don't even have a diagnosis.
Yeah, we still have no diagnosis.
No.
I mean, he commented on his social media, but he didn't really give an indication of. My hope is that it's like just like a dislocation.
Yeah, that's what I think it was. I think I read somewhere today that he wanted to pop his shoulder back into place so that he can at least finish the match. Which kind of leads to the point that you made that maybe he was slated to lose, and the referees and the doctors told him, you can't do that here. So they took him to the back and just called the match. But now we're without Gunther and Penta, which I was very much looking forward to. So now we got Solo and Gunther instead, which all but confirms Gunther's going to the finals. And I was hoping for a Sheamus and Gunther final because out of the remaining guys in this tournament, that was the one thing that to me would have really kind of encapsulated what a final for a tournament like this should have been. And now we're looking at an LA. I can't even say for sure if it's going to be LA Knight because Jey Uso's going to be in the fucking semifinals. Yeah. But I swear to God, man, if Jey Uso is in the finals with Gunther, man, I may have a fucking mental breakdown on stream. Seriously. It may be one of them AEW Dynasty 2024 ordeals where I just went fucking ballistic.
For me, it was Hell in a Cell 2019.
Yes, that too, yeah.
But so, and honestly, neither of these are terribly appealing to me. We all know how that's going to end for LA Knight, regardless, even if he makes it to the finals. So it doesn't really affect the ultimate outcome, I think, of this tournament. We all know it's got to be John Cena and Gunther. I mean, Gunther came back with new music, right? Old music, new music. And he's coming out there in a fucking boxing robe, looking like the true final boss. Like, he's not losing this tournament, okay? He's winning this tournament. It's just who's he beating in the finals. That's really the only question. But it's unfortunate also because at the AAA show the other night, they made the announcement that the Lucha Bros are actually going to be back together. Phoenix and Penta are supposed to wrestle.
Imagine Gunther on Lucha mask.
I don't think he needs to be in a mask. I think Gunther in AAA would be kind of cool. Imagine Gunther against Psycho Clown.
I could see that.
Weird match that would be, but you do. But at the AAA show on December 20th, they're setting up for Dominic and El Grande Americano against the Lucha Bros. And we haven't seen the Lucha Bros wrestling together at all in WWE. And I went back and checked. They haven't even wrestled together at all in, I think it's like, I don't know, like a year and a half, 2 years. It's been something crazy like that. And then this happens. So we don't know the severity of the injury. It's possible, best case scenario, he could be back in time for that match. But man, boy, would that fucking suck.
Liv dislocated her shoulder too, and she was out for 4 months, right?
Yeah, but it depends on the severity of
Okay.
it. Like there's some are more severe than others.
Okay.
Some need surgery, maybe some don't. We don't even know if it's a dislocation. They haven't said anything yet. So that's in jeopardy, though. They just announced it on Saturday. It's already in jeopardy. So that sucks.
Oh man, this tournament's a fucking it's cursed. I don't know who cursed it, but the Rock. I blame the Rock. I blame the Rock. Rock cursed everything. Everything Cena, just blame it on Dwayne. No, I kid. It's Triple H is just, I don't know what the fuck the guy's thinking. I mean, he just doesn't know how to have any fun. He doesn't know how to have any just excitement around anything. It's just moments and fucking returns and this all-star match that we got at War Games, which we're going to talk about in a second. Before we get to that, two things I want to mention, Jason, here from Raw. What did you think of the Dominic Mysterio and John Cena situation? I thought the spirit of Vince McMahon was dead. Apparently, it still lives on.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was watching something out of 2005.
John Cena.
The only real, yeah. So I mean, yeah, we had fun size Cena, and then we have. See, here's the thing. Like, if I had, there was one thing that made me chuckle that I thought was the one redeeming thing about this segment. It was Mini Stu. Like having
with
Mini
his,
Stu,
with his
the
Polaroid
cameraman.
camera out there.
But like, there was at one point a shot where we had actual Stu. Then he was filming Fun Size Stu, who was filming Mini Cena. And I said it felt like Stuception as I was watching this. Like all three of them are just in the shot at the same time. I thought Stu at one point was going to get physical and beat up Mini Stu. I didn't know where this was headed. So that was kind of amusing. And the rest of it was just like, okay, yeah, this seems like a relic of the past here. But they didn't have John Cena there. So the only question then is, what do you do? Right? Dominic, do you do a pre-tape promo with him? Do you have him go out there and cut a serious promo? Because this version of Dom is not really, like, if he was out there trying to cut a serious promo, I don't know that I would have taken it seriously. It doesn't really fit the character. Like, he strikes me as someone who would do something to disrespect the other guy. But, like, you know, coming up with this, it's like, all right, yeah, this feels like something that would, you know, easily would have been on a Vince McMahon show, and he would have been sitting in the back going,
well, I'm sure he was watching
pal.
from his palatial estate in fucking Greenwich, and he's texting Bruce, that's good shit, pal. Sure he was.
Do you think he's watching the shows week to week?
Yes, I do. I still think he's in communication with some of the people there, to be quite honest with you. Michael Hayes and Bruce Pritchard.
You think he's watching the shows each week and sending notes to Bruce?
Yes.
He's furiously texting
Yes,
him?
I genuinely do. That's my conspiracy theory. You know, Bret Hart's got his conspiracy about Vince. I do, yeah.
Well,
And he got a chuckle out of this.
Well, if you believe Brett's conspiracy theories, then Vince is watching the show from home and sending notes to Bruce while stroking Shawn Michaels. And that's the ultimate conspiracy theory.
Yes, that is.
Like petting him like his cat or something next to him on the couch.
Like fucking, like he's, what's Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget?
All you see is the hand with the cat.
Oh, my God. Yes, I didn't find this to be funny. My audience, some of you guys found it to be funny. I thought, listen. I didn't laugh, so it's to each his own. It's in the eye of the beholder, Tony Khan.
Yes.
And I guess we'll lump this into the War Game stuff. I'll save my my opinions on the Survivor Series build for this. We're going to talk about War Games. We're going to go through a rapid fire preview here of the preview and predictions. We'll start with this because there's only 4 matches on the show. God forbid they do a 5th and add some extra level of storytelling or intrigue or excitement or fun to this show. Nikki Bella will challenge Stephanie Vicaire for the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship. I know Jason last week had thrown this out there in the open about possibly Brie Bella maybe doing some twin magic to help Nikki Bella win the championship. I hope that isn't the case, but we've seen a lot of heel turns lately, Jason, and this kind of would make the heel turn make sense if Nikki Bella won the championship. So how are you feeling about this? Is Nikki going to win the title, or is Stephanie going to beat Nikki and that's it? Call it a day.
I think Stephanie is holding on to the championship. I don't know if that's also just me hoping, like really, really hoping that we're not getting twin magic. It just comes down to whether or not they want to prolong this. I mean, do they have anybody else lined up for Stephanie, or are they going to play the Nikki Bella thing out for a couple of months and have her win the belt back? I'm going to say she keeps it. But if they did a title change on Saturday, it wouldn't shock me. But they would have to be done that way, I think. I mean, I don't just see Nikki, using an exposed turnbuckle or something basic like that. if there was a shot at all of her winning the championship, then it would have to be Brie getting involved.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they started kind of teasing Roxanne Perez maybe, but then last night on Raw, Roxanne Perez looked at Maxine Dupree for the Intercontinental title. And it goes back to what I said last week. I think Roxanne winning that title only for Liv to come back and her feud over the title with Roxanne. I think that kind of works out. So we'll see what happens there. I'm going Stephanie. I don't think there's any point in taking the belt off her. She's done nothing. Very uneventful reign so far. John Cena, he defends the Intercontinental Championship against Dominic Mysterio.
Mysterio, yes. This is I said, like, John Cena has had some classic Royal Rumble matches and SummerSlam matches, and he's had some big WrestleMania matches, but I struggle when I try to think of like some great classic memorable John Cena Survivor Series matches. And this could very well end up being the one, because it's his last one. And so there's going to be that emotion behind it. And Dom, look, I'm sure they're going to go out there and have a good match. We've seen Cena have some good matches this year. It's a huge spot for Dom to be in. He gets to be one of John Cena's last two opponents. I don't think there's a reason to do this match unless he is winning the championship back. So I am saying a Dominic Mysterio title win, and I think Liv Morgan returns and helps him win the championship back.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I didn't think of Liv Morgan. I figured
because I just don't see him winning it clean. Obviously, he always has the Judgment Day interfering and running interference for him. But to just have they've been teasing these issues between Balor and Dom for so long.
Yeah.
To just have Balor or McDonough, get involved and then he wins that way is kind of fucking lame. What would make it bigger? Having Liv show up. She's been gone for months.
It's right in Triple H's wheelhouse with the fucking big moments in return, so I could see it very well taking place.
And I feel like she's close anyway, and so this would be the place to do it, and she helps Dom win the championship back, and it's a big moment.
Yeah, I actually like that. I thought it'd be just a myriad of Rey Mysterio and El Grande Americano and those guys, but I actually quite like that better. Whatever the case is, I think we
it could be all that, by the way, and then it just culminates with Liv showing up.
Whatever the case is, John Cena cannot take that IC title into Washington, D.C. So whatever the case is, Dominic needs to be a two-time Intercontinental Champion here. You mentioned John Cena and Survivor Series. I got a list of matches here. He did wrestle in several Survivor Series. John Cena versus Kurt Angle, 2005. John Cena versus Chris Jericho in 2008. John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio in 2013. None of these are really memorable, honestly. That I'm looking at them.
I said on my end, the closest one maybe would be 2009, because there was that triple threat with him and Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Yep. Yeah. That was actually very good. Yeah.
Yeah, and that might be. Was that the one where as soon as the bell rang, Shawn super kicked?
I think
Triple
so.
H?
Yeah. We got other Survivor Series matches here: Team Angle versus Team Lesnar, Team Raw versus Team SmackDown in 2017. Team Cena versus Team Big Show in 2006. Jesus Christ. Some of these were fucking awful. John Cena and Rock versus Awesome Truth in 2011.
Yeah, that was Rock's first match back in like 8 years. I was at that show. That the match itself is, I'm not putting that at the top of one of the great.
Cena, Ryback, and Punk in 2012.
Now, you know what? 2015. No, I'm sorry, 2014.
Cena versus Team Authority.
Yeah, maybe that one, and more so for Dolph. Like that was a big moment for him.
Yeah.
That was when Sting debuted.
Yes. That's probably out of all the list here. I think it's probably the most memorable one, honestly.
Probably, yeah. But but it's not like he has a laundry list of great Survivor Series matches. So because I was like racking my brain, like, man, I'm struggling to come up with what I would consider to be truly great, memorable Cena matches on the show.
I look at Cena being Mr. Royal Rumble, honestly. Out of all the big four or big five.
Yeah, I think I have Bret or Brock as Mr. SummerSlam. I think in the past I've said Randy Orton is like Mr. Survivor Series. I think I've said Cena as Mr. Royal Rumble, and then WrestleMania. Take your pick, Shawn Michaels or The Undertaker.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dominic is winning the IC title back on Saturday. And then we got the two War Games matches. We'll start with the women. Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair. And now team captain AJ Lee against Nia Jax, Lash Legend, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and team captain Becky Lynch. You know, I think adding Becky, first of all, Becky is doing some great work. I love her heel stuff, especially on social media the last like 3 or 4 days. I mean, she's just fucking...
Dude,
she's so fucking
I will
funny,
say,
man.
though, it's gotten so out of hand, I had to mute her on my timeline. Like, it was just non-stop.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's just all caps, non-stop. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to mute her for a while.
So Becky and AJ got their tensions. Nia and Lash got Alexa and Charlotte's problem, and Rhea, Io, and the Kabuki Warriors. So this is a culmination of 3 different things going on, just kind of in the blender, and this is your women's War Games. I got to be honest, man. I'm not looking forward to this too much. I hope that they make the corrections that they fucked up on last year, this year. I hope it's better laid out than it was last year. I'm going to go with the baby faces here. I think Rhea, Io get their revenge on the Kabuki Warriors, and I think Becky and AJ live on to fight another day here after this is over.
Yeah, I have the baby faces going over here. We do have an advantage match coming up on Friday that is between Charlotte and Asuka.
Yeah.
So when you consider the outcome of that match, and you consider that the baby faces stood tall on Raw last night, like all of these things would dictate the complete opposite. But I do feel like this is going to go the way of the baby faces on the women's side here. So I'm with you on that.
CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and Roman Reigns make up the all-star men's team for the babyfaces against the Vision. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, who's aligned with Paul Heyman, working alongside the Vision. Yeah.
Before we can get into this, let's go back to the women's match. Who takes the losing fall? I'm thinking Kairi.
Yes. If the heels are to lose, Becky's not taking a pin. Lash Legend is new. She's not taking a pin. I can't see Nia losing. It's either Kairi or Nia, I would say. But I'd probably go Kairi, yeah.
Yeah, because Lash, I think, she's in a position to have a really good night, like a standout night.
Yeah.
She's definitely not someone I think they want to, pin in that type of match. So, I would think Kairi is the one to.
Yeah, I think Io gets the pin. I think Io is going to pin Kairi.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the men's match: CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jimmy J. Uso, Roman Reigns against the Vision, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. There was an advantage match last night. McIntyre and Logan Paul wrestled the Usos, and the heels, I believe, got the advantage, didn't they? They won the advantage match last night? Okay.
Yes. Logan Paul,
he pinned
rolled
Jimmy.
up Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this, and I saved my thoughts for this specifically. I'm curious to see where you are, Jason, about this. Roman Reigns started the show last night, and we got Cody Rhodes. Nothing was said after 14 minutes. CM Punk comes out there, another sing-along, and Punk is the first one to kind of get the promo rolling. Roman doesn't like Punk or Cody, and obviously there's tensions between all 3 of them, just stemming from the Paul Heyman situation at WrestleMania and last year's War Games with Roman and CM Punk, where the favorite was first born and kind of brought to light there going into last year's match. We all know that the baby faces have had a problem with the Vision. And Rollins has been a thorn in CM Punk's side, but he's no longer there. He beat Gunther at SummerSlam. Rollins cashed in after faking an injury, only to then get injured in the match with Cody at Crown Jewel. And now he had to vacate the championship, which Punk beat Jey Uso in a vacated title match at Saturday Night's main event. So he's now the champion. So he's gotten what he's wanted, but he still wants to take care of the Vision. Cody kind of just threw his name into the hat here for whatever reason. He's got his friends, and he's going to back up his friends when they need, but we all know that his father created this match, and Cody's in there just basically as an homage to Dusty. And then the Usos and Roman, I can't really even see a War Games match without the fucking Bloodline in it. They've been in every one, so just throw them in there. And the Vision has largely been the biggest faction on WWE television with the most TV time. My thing is, we all know coming out of WrestleMania where this was going, it was probably going to result in a War Games match. My problem is, and I'm curious to see if you agree, Roman started the show last night, and in no way, shape, or form was there an explanation or a answer of why he's here and why everybody's joining forces and why they need to take out the Vision. There's nothing tangible on the line here. Like, what is on the line? What is hanging in the balance? Is Monday Night Raw worse off with the Vision?
Yeah, but whatever is in War Games.
I'm saying what we need to do to make it important. Otherwise, it's just a fucking all-star game with nothing on the line. At least in the MLB all-star game, you're fighting for home field advantage in the World Series. What are we fighting for here?
All right, but this has always been the case with War Games. Like, were you saying this when they brought it back in NXT, Black and Gold?
Well, we knew what was going on there. The Undisputed Era held every fucking championship. They wanted to take down the Undisputed Era. It was pretty paint by numbers.
Yeah, but there was nothing really tangible on the line in that match. It wasn't like there was a title opportunity on the line or any championships on the line. So it's been a recurring issue with War Games really all along, where you either accept it as, okay, we have this match coming up, and hopefully there's enough story there and like a rivalry where we're going to blow it off in War Games, or it's just a collection of guys, and you send them in there, and there's really no stakes on the line. And unfortunately, most of the time, that's how War Games ends up, whether it was NXT or the main roster now, or even in WCW sometimes, right? There were times where they had a really good feud, and they had some great War Games matches, and there were some really fucking terrible ones too. So here, they're kind of blending a lot of different elements together. You said, why would Roman Reigns agree to be in this match? Well, because Roman Reigns was put out of action at one point by Bronson Reed. He's had issues with the Vision. So, okay.
I know, but he didn't explain that last night. All he said was, I want to see my investment with my cousins through. Like, okay, can you explain to me further what the fuck that means? And why else you're here? He didn't say anything.
It's sort of implied, I guess. It's
he didn't say anything last night, though. That was the point I'm trying to make. He didn't explain anything.
Well, because they were more interested in the banter between him and Punk and Cody, and talking about trying to create tension between the baby faces.
Sure,
can they coexist going into this War Games match?
You got three of the best storytellers in the fucking business, and there's not a single drop of story as to why they're in this match with the Vision, but they all have a problem with themselves.
They have a problem with themselves, and they have a problem with the Vision. That's why they're in the match. CM Punk's been feuding with the Vision. Roman Reigns has been feuding with the Vision. Now, Cody Rhodes is a different case. Cody Rhodes is on the other show. He has nothing to do with the Vision.
All right, let me word it this way then. If the baby faces lose this year, what's the consequence of the loss? If the Vision win, what's the consequences? And what does Monday Night Raw look like? Is Monday Night Raw going to look any different after the Vision wins War Games? Like there's nothing in the balance. Like is power going to shift so heavily to one side over the other? Like that's the point I'm trying to make. Like what is there?
you would hope or expect that if, let's say, it's one of the champions who gets pinned, that it will lead to whoever their next challenger is going to be emerging out of this. That's the best you could hope for, because there is nothing tangible on like nothing changes. Let's look at this. Realistically, nothing changes coming out of this match. Nothing. Right? Logan Paul probably vanishes again. Brock Lesnar probably vanishes again. Who knows when we see them next? Probably not until Royal Rumble time. The Vision will be on the show every week like they always are. Roman will disappear. Right? Cody's on the other show. He's not going to be on Raw. So it really comes down to who is Punk going to defend the World Heavyweight Championship against, and what is going to happen with Jimmy and Jay. Is there going to be a heel turn? Is there going to be some sort of fallout involving Roman and the Usos? Those are really the only outcomes here coming out of this War Games match. Tangibly, no, there's nothing on the line in this match. And I said this on my end. I said, it's amazing to think how one injury could really change everything, because if Seth Rollins doesn't get hurt, this match looks completely different.
Yeah.
If Seth Rollins doesn't get hurt, I believe, like Meltzer was the one who first mentioned Austin Theory, and people mocked him. Oh, where'd that come from, right? But again, we see Lash Legend ended up on the women's side, and he mentioned it was going to be Cena and Dom. And what are we getting? Cena and Dom. So let's take him at his word. This match looks like Rollins, Breakker, Reed, Lesnar, and probably Theory. And there is no Drew McIntyre. And there is no Logan Paul. And on the babyface side, it probably is CM Punk, Roman Reigns, the Usos, and LA Knight. That's my best guess as to what this War Games match would look like.
Yeah, and Cody and McIntyre would have had a third match.
Yes. Or maybe Jacob would have been involved if Jacob got hurt. So who knows how that affected things. So injuries really did wreak havoc, I think, with the men's War Games match, because Cody, Drew, and Logan, just those three, I don't see them in this match.
No.
And LA Knight probably is. So part of that is also the issue here, where maybe they had to recalibrate and they were going to go this way, but they had to, piece some things together, because this was not what their original plan was. Rollins getting hurt really fucked them over. So that's part of it also. Because Cody has no business being in this match.
No. No,
And
that's
the
how
only
Drew
reason Drew
McIntyre-
is in
yeah.
is because Cody is
Yeah,
in. That's
yes.
the only reason Drew McIntyre is in.
Yeah,
So
I could see Triple H throwing his hands in the air, but like, all these injuries, fuck it. We're just gonna make it an all-star match. Cody's gonna be in it, Lesnar gonna be in it, Logan Paul's gonna be in it.
Yeah,
We'll just
it
throw
had- so
all
they-
of our biggest names in one match in 4 matches, and that's it.
So that's it. So they had to cobble this together. Like Logan Paul being in this is completely random. Right? So there's a lot about this that screams, hey, this is kind of random. And it's funny, like a friend of mine, he mentioned to me he wasn't sure Roman would be in this match because he was the one who pointed out to me that last year Roman only had 6 matches. And I think he's up to 6 matches right now, not counting War Games. And then, obviously Roman got announced, but he may be onto something here where there are top guys in WWE. We wonder why do we not see them? Where's Randy Orton? How come Orton's not making appearances? It may be a situation where they're contracted to a certain number of dates and they don't want to go beyond those dates. So for Roman, it may well be a case where, who knows, maybe they paid him more to get an extra date out of him this year. But like that could very well explain why we haven't seen Randy Orton. Maybe some of these guys, it's not a matter of like waiting for the right story. Maybe it's a matter of like, hey, we better slow our roll here because we only have him for a certain number of dates. And I do wonder if that could also be what's going on here. Because Randy Orton's been gone for a little bit, and I believe he's being advertised for December 5th for SmackDown. So he's coming back soon. Does he show up here? Is there a chance he shows up at Survivor Series? And if so, to do what? I don't know. So SmackDown can certainly use him. As far as the winner here, I'm going Team Vision. I think what Jason said, as lame as it may be, and I wish there was something a little bit more substantial and tangible on the line here, and some consequences were really kind of the focus for the winners or losers. I think the winner of this match is going to get a championship match against CM Punk. And I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think everybody's looking for the Usos, one of the Usos, to take the pinfall here. Because at first glance, you look at Cody being the WWE champion. He's not going to take a pinfall. CM Punk's the world's heavyweight champion. He's not going to take a pinfall. And they're certainly not going to pin Roman Reigns after he's lost to Bronson Reed. So I'm going to go with CM Punk being pinned by Braun Breaker. And I think there's some miscommunication here by Roman, Punk, or a mixture of him, Punk, and Cody. And I think something happens there where Breaker kind of spears Punk, pins the champion, and I think we get Braun Breaker versus CM Punk for the World's Heavyweight Championship, whether it's at a show in December or maybe building into the Royal Rumble. I think that's the play here. I don't want to see Logan Paul versus Punk. I know they teased it, but I think Braun Breaker is the play, and I think he's going to walk out getting the pinfall here. That's probably something they should do. I think the heels are going over. I think the baby faces win in the women's. I think the heels go over in the men's. I think they should not be afraid to beat one of their champions so long as it leads to something. I mean, to beat your champion and it doesn't lead anywhere would be fucking stupid. So, I mean, that would be fine. I think there's a chance it could be Logan, though, just because if they wanted to go with Logan next, there's still time, though, before the Rumble. And I don't think you do Braun Breaker and CM Punk on TV. And the only other time to do it would be Saturday night's main event, and that show is all about John Cena.
Yeah.
It's about John Cena and whatever these WWE versus NXT matches are going to be. So the next big show where they could even really do Punk, let's say, against Breaker for the title, would be the Saturday night's main event the week before the Rumble, or you do it at the Rumble. And there's still a long time between now and then, and they already teased the possibility of Punk and Logan. So I could see Logan Paul pinning CM Punk in this match.
Yeah, I could see it. I'm just not interested.
Long term, we know Braun's the guy.
Yeah.
So it would be a huge win for him. And I'm still not a fan of how they've really gotten away from like that great angle when they turned on Seth and it looked like Breaker was going to be the one sort of leading the charge. Like, boy, did they get away from that. So I'm not a fan of that. I wish that they were more focused on him in more of a leadership type of role where he was more assertive, cutting more promos on his own. They really haven't been doing that. So, Breaker or Logan, I would say if it's going to be anybody, it might be Logan, just so they can get that match done first. Because that match you could do on like a Saturday night.
Could you see them doing Drew pinning Cody here?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's the
safe.
play. Yeah.
It's safe because then he doesn't win the belt.
Yes, I could absolutely. That's why I brought it up to you. I could certainly see that for sure. Last question before we get to the super chats. Do we see, being that we just talked about the copious amounts of blood on Full Gear, do we see any blood on Saturday?
I don't think we see, unless it's hard way, unless it's accidental. I don't think we do. It's just not. I can't say they never do it. They do it sometimes. They did it in Hell in a Cell last year. I don't think it's done intentionally, no. If there's any blood, I think it's accidental.
That's a shame, man. This type of match, especially with what AEW did 10 days ago, Blood and Guts, you would expect a couple of people to bleed, but nope. WWE wants
in War Games, they should.
Yeah.
That's old school shit. When you do a cage match like this, it's kind of silly not to have blood. So if you were gonna reserve it for any special occasion, that's how I felt about Hell in a Cell last year. If you're gonna save it for a special occasion, that's the time to do it.
Yep. Well, thank you guys very much for a great episode 122 here. We're gonna get into your super chats. We will be live on Saturday night for Survivor Series, so make sure you guys tune into us and watch us do our thing. Should be hopefully a very eventful and newsworthy evening. Follow us on social media and YouTube. Everything you need for Solid Monsters down below in the description. And please continue to hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below. It helps us out tremendously. We are 50 likes away from the goal of 800, so please get those remaining likes in. And super chats are open, and we're going to read through them right now. You guys can still get them on in. And we're going to start with Michael. Michael Krause with a $2 super chat. JD Jason, OTS, hope all is well. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Shout out Michael, yeah.
He also says with 23 months. Thank you, bro. JD Jason, thank you for all you do each week. Long nights editing videos is lots of work. All of us here, thank you for everything. Yeah.
So are long nights making videos.
Yes, streaming. I'm not much of an editor, but, very bare bones when it comes to that. I wish that was one of the tools I knew more of. But thank you, Michael. Cody Snyder with a 20. Want to give a shout out to Jason for being the best co-host I've seen on this channel. Thank you for handling shit like a rational adult and still being humorous. Love you, JD. Happy holidays and Survivor Series week, dudes. Cheers. Cody, thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Cornell, just in the chat, mentioned Jade and Jey Uso. Bled recently. Both of those were hard way.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay's was definitely accidental.
Yes, Jay's was accidental, but so was Jey Uso's. So he got caught by the lip of a chair. So that's what I'm saying.
He did, yeah.
There's going to be so much plunder in these matches. It is entirely possible that there will be blood, but if there is, it will be unplanned.
And please, no fucking tsunamis off the top of the cage, please, this year. Let's play it safe.
So who comes off the top of the cage in the men's match? Because someone's going to. Is it Logan?
Logan Paul.
That's probably the main reason why
it's either him or the Usos doing a big splash.
Nah, it's got to be Logan.
Yeah. And then EO, obviously, it's the easy choice. But I wish we do something a little different with the spot there. She's going to do the trash can spot. It's going to be the same thing every year. And people are going to be like, oh, my God.
Something different. So what should she do? A backflip maybe in the trash can? Oh, that's what she always does. What could she do? I mean, what else could she do?
I don't know. Maybe not do it. That would be different.
Fine. I'd put a top on the fucking cage if it were up to me. You don't have to convince me.
One of the pros about the AEW version is the top on the cage. I like that.
Yeah.
Hardcore Kevin with a 5. Yo, JD, I was wondering when your next meet and greet is. I want to give you a big hug and a fat kiss and a big hickey, bro. Hardcore Kevin, listen. that may be all the reason to never have one ever again.
I think JD now is making a phone call to Atlas Security for his next meetup. Make sure that doesn't happen.
We already had AJ Lee take care of some geek AI videoing her and him kissing. We don't need any more nonsense, please. Boss Mo Jackson with a 499. Happy holidays, guys. This year wasn't a good year for wrestling, and I don't know what to expect for next year. My expectations are low. This is my favorite channel on YouTube. Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here every Tuesday. I'm not. Listen, the year is going out with a whimper. I thought this was a very down year, and all I can hope for is Rumble season being really exciting. That's all I want. Italian Stallion with a $7.99. Let me talk to you. Love this show, guys. Legends, and you bring the goods from Australia. Yeah.
Shout out down under.
Michelle with a 2. Any heel or face turns in the men's war games? No. No, I think everybody stays the same. It's going to be interesting to see if they play it safe or if they take some chances. Hopefully they do. Sidro with a 5. In the world of Harry Potter, wizards hate giants. It is literal bigotry. And I threw an Asian down the stairs. It was Wong on so many levels. Nah. Those didn't hit, bro. I'm a big Harry Potter guy, too. You Harry Potter guy or no?
I've never read a single book. I've never watched a single movie.
Okay. Well, that answered that question.
I know Hogwarts. Is that a school?
Yes, that's the school. Yes. Hogwarts. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Epica with a $5 super chat. Hello, gentlemen. How's it going? To rip a page out of Chris Van Vliet's book for a second, what are 3 things you guys are grateful for?
Well, one of the things I would have said is that I'm grateful that SmackDown is no longer 3 hours, but I will not be able to say that for much longer. So I'm grateful for the success of my show, my channel, and being able to do what I like to do for a living day to day. I'm grateful for all of you here on TNT and the great audience that we have here, and I'm grateful for overall my health and just being able to to not have to deal with some of the nastier things that people have to deal with on a daily basis. I'm grateful for that. I don't take that for granted.
Yeah, just to keep it work-wise, obviously health and, a good living situation right now. But as far as work, I am very grateful to you guys that you have kept what I am doing going as long as it has been, because I know several careers fall off and this and that, and you guys have blown it away for the last several years and continue nothing but upwards and onwards. I am very grateful that I have a great support system, especially from this guy here. And I got people like Jason in my corner where sometimes it doesn't seem like there's enough people or a lot of people in my corner. And sometimes I feel like I'm fighting battles alone. And I am very grateful for the life that I live from you guys, thanks to you guys. So, I mean, I would not be able to do half the shit that I'm doing without the power of both of our communities. So I appreciate every single one of you. So thank you. Ass Eater Peter with a 5. Agree with JD. Braun should pin Punk to win the match. Any chance you see Brock getting into it with Braun during the match to tease something? And he says, what's up, Solo?
What's up, man? That would be fun if they did. If I'm Braun, I'd be upset that he used me as a hat rack the other night. As soon as he popped back up, he took that cowboy hat and just put it on Braun's head, and Braun just pulled that shit right off.
Yeah, I don't think they get into it. I think Division Works is a pretty cohesive unit on Saturday. Boss Mo Jackson with a $4.99. I actually agree with Brett. I've been saying this for several years. I've said this on JD Stream and last week about the women. What exactly did you say? I mean, what did you actually agree with Brett on? A lot of stuff there. Hockey with a $9.99. Hey guys, just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving this year. I'm thankful for TNT, Off the Script, and the Sound Off. Well, thank you, man. Bro. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I'm grateful for you.
DJ Boat with a $5 super chat. Shawn got that back injury from Vince blowing it out. Laughing emoji. Jesus fucking Christ. No, he was out for 4 years with a severe injury thanks to a stupid spot on a casket. 4 years is a very long time to be out, man. After that one, actually, it was years and years of abuse, but that didn't fucking help anything. Chaloops with a $1.99. No message. Thank you, Chaloops. Sidro with a 5. Told Solo he'll fill you in about my heart condition. This joke is to be positive. Why did patient break up with cardiologist? They had too many heart-to-hearts.
Yeah, well, as I told you, man, you gotta just take care of yourself. That's serious stuff. I mean, anytime you're talking about, the heart only working at a certain percentage and all that kind of stuff, and having bad habits, whether it's smoking or drinking or whatever it may be, you gotta take care of yourself, man.
Yeah.
If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. They say health is wealth. It's true. You could have all the money in the world, but if you get sick, all of a sudden your whole worldview changes.
Mm-hmm. Sidra also with a $2 super chat. What do you call a horse who lives next door? A neighbor.
Ah,
Yeah.
of course.
Israel, the $4.99. Hey, JD Jason, I'm going to Survivor Series here in my hometown of San Diego for my first ever PLE. Not the best build, but hope to enjoy myself.
Well, enjoy it, because this is the first Survivor Series in a stadium. It's an open-air stadium, and there has never been a Survivor Series stadium show like this before.
Yeah, going to be near 40,000 people there on Saturday. Should be good.
Yeah. If you're going to do a Survivor Series show outdoors, I suppose California would be the place to do it. You wouldn't be doing it here in New York.
No. Tony Brown with a $4.99. Young JD, I appreciate the kind words you said about my late sister. That made me proud to be one of your mods. Also, alongside Issa and Jesse. Brother, we love you. You've been here forever, and we wish you nothing but the best, man. Thank you. Hannah with a $4.99. Hitting up Dynamite tomorrow in Nashville. Prepared to have my mind blown with the CC matches they've announced. Happy Thanksgiving to you both. Enjoy yourself, Hannah. Hopefully the CC delivers big time this year. Boss Mo Jackson with the $1.99. Which animal or creep crawlers do you fear most?
I'm not a fan of spiders.
No, I don't like spiders. I hate bees, reptiles, or serpents or snakes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're aware.
Let's not get into that. I showed you that video.
Yep. It was disgusting. It was very, very, very scary, that video. Yeah, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't like fish either. I don't get in the water.
You don't like fish?
I have a phobia of fish, yeah.
Do you eat fish?
No.
Wow.
I do not eat seafood.
So you never had like a fish tank as a kid?
No, I had turtles.
Okay.
No fish, though. Duff's Vids with a $5 super chat. What's the difference between snowman and snow women? Snowballs. VPN $24.99. Africa Trailer TV AEW pay-per-view. Is that what you're doing, Duffs? VPN into South Africa to watch AEW on Triller TV? I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know it was $24.99. CKY Halo with 33 months. I'm drinking vodka with cinnamon schnapps. Is that too much to go with edibles? Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You're asking the wrong person.
Cinnamon schnapps? I don't think I've ever had cinnamon schnapps. Goldschlager, but not cinnamon schnapps. Is that the same thing?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no. Goldschlager's like a licorice taste, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay. Duff's with a $4.99. What do you call an airplane full of bald people? Receding airlines. also with a $4.99. Duff's. I asked my friend what kind of fruits he likes. He said pears. So I got him 2 apples. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Okay, Duffs, you got to explain that one to us, man. I don't get that one.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe 2 pairs. So like.
Yes. There you go. 2 pairs. Yes, 2 pairs. We got 2 apples.
Okay. I guess that's the punchline.
Okay, there you go. Boss Mo Jackson with the $4.99 for wrestling and all sports. The best I've seen was the 90s and 2000 era. NFL, NBA was the 90s, and WWE was the RA era, the ruthless aggression era. Creativity, it was the attitude era. Nothing is the same. How about that? Nothing is the same. Gaming is not the same.
We're in the TKO era now.
We're in the TKO era, where there was a sign, "Thank you, TKO. This is my last WWE show." You saw that one?
Yeah, and all of the S's were dollar signs. Thanks, WWE. This is my last show.
Duff's Viz with a $4.99. Where can you find fish in orbit? Trout
You're
or
asking
space?
the wrong person. JD has no idea. He doesn't like fish.
No. Trout or space? And why
Outer
did
space.
and why did the unsuccessful farmer become a musician? He had some really sick beats. Okay. Osmo Jackson with a 999. A biologist, a chemist, and a statistician are out hunting. The biologist shoots a deer and misses 5 feet to the right. The chemist shoots and misses 5 feet to the left. The statistician yells, "We got him." No mas on that one, Jackson. No mas. B-Vay with a 5. Wanted to wish happy Thanksgiving to my favorite tag team. Really enjoy your individual feeds, but this collab is just next level of awesome. Well, thank you, B. Appreciate it, brother.
Hell yeah.
Emoji Matt with a 5. Happy Turkey Day. I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was, and now what I'm with isn't. And what it seems is weird and scary to me.
Are you going to have to tell me what song that's from?
I have no fucking clue. I thought he was talking about the actual It clown.
I assume that's a song lyric. That's what it sounded like to me.
Matt, what are you referencing there? Bossmo Jackson, the 499. I was watching my daughter at the park, and a woman turned to me and asked, "Which one is yours?" So for fun, I said, "I'm still choosing." She looked terrified.
Probably call the cops.
Chris with the 41 months. Cheers. Thank you, brother. Emoji Matt with a 5. Why was the celery arrested? For stalking. I love celery.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
They say celery with peanut butter is supposedly good. Have you ever tried that?
Never had it. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm not a celery
I usually
guy.
I usually just eat it the way it is. Cold.
Ugh, really? Oh, God.
Crazy Man 88 with a $2 super chat. Survivor Series should be every other year. No. No, you're asking the wrong company, bro.
Well, I mean, if Mark Shapiro gets his way, we may not have many more Survivor Series left.
Probably not, no. Does Viz with a 499. John Cena got his payback on Brock Lesnar when he gave him the suplex during Brock's entrance. That wasn't a fall. Yeah. Bad Trips with a 5. Carmelo Hayes will never be a world champion or top guy for the same reason Chad Gable won't, because they're short. WWE hates short men world champions.
I don't know. Worked out well for Daniel Bryan. At least he had his run at one point.
Fox Boom with a 199. I just hurt my shoulder just laying here in bed. That's exactly what's going on in WWE, apparently. Maybe those hotel beds aren't up to par. We got Elsa with a 199. Which is funnier, Cowboy Brock or Brock Party Brock?
Funnier would be Brock Party Brock.
Yeah.
Boombox Brock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Though I think Brock looks more menacing now than he ever has with the cowboy hat and the long hair and the beard.
Does he really look menacing, though, when he's splitting his pants and falling on his ass? I mean,
No.
how menacing can you be?
Crazy Man with a 2. Melo should win the U.S. title by Mania. Ilya versus Trick. I would love to see Melo win the United States title or Trick win it, get called up, and Melo and Trick feud for the United States title. I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see that. SmackDown could certainly use that too. Demeter Bullion Doggy with a 799. Doggy Boys. Solo, can I call you Doggy? JD, can I call you Punky? Cody turns heel and joins the Vision, sporting new nerdy specs and claiming he can finally see. He wants to call you Doggy, bro.
Yeah, that's a no for me, dog. The answer is no. You cannot call me doggy.
Nate TV with a 40 months. 40 months as a VIP. Thank you, JD, for tolerating my bullshit in your chat for 4 years. Also, do you think Kyle versus Mock should have been a submission match? It doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter what type of match it would have been. It would have been blood. It doesn't matter.
Could have been first blood.
Yeah, it could have been first blood. Submission match would have worked, too. As long as it wasn't back-to-back with the other match. Zeno with a 50. Mini bomb here by Zeno. Thank you, Zeno. You two might disagree, but hot take. Team Cena versus Team Authority is the best Survivor Series match and my personal favorite match ever. Story was peak. Crowd was hot. Not to mention the epic last stand of Dolph Ziggler with Sting saving the day. Yeah, we just talked about that earlier. then Sting's run happened, then most wish it didn't. Honestly. Bossmo Jackson with a 199. Who is the absolute worst? Eva Marie, Jade, Jax, or Brie Bella? Eva Marie. She was fucking horrendous.
It's just, you mentioned Brie Bella there at the end, and now I'm kind of torn here. But
it's got to be Eva Marie, bro. Come on.
That music just haunts my soul. I'll go Eva Marie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even remember Eva Marie's music, honestly.
No, you don't want to. Jerry Delino with a 199. Who is a better wrestler, Jey Uso or Big Boom AJ? Come on, guys, really? Jey Uso. I would much rather yeet than boom. Okay. What do we got here? We got James Gender with a 499. Do you guys think Alexa turns on Charlotte at War Games? I could see it. I would rather Alexa turn heel than Charlotte be a heel, honestly.
I don't think you could afford either one of them to turn heel. I think you need babyface opponents for Jade.
It's true.
Why are you turning them heel?
Robbie with a 199. Lesnar and a shooting star press in War Games. Yeah, not a chance in hell. This Brock? No, thank you.
Off the top of the cage.
Yeah. Jeff with a 9 months. Happy Thanksgiving to both. I've been mostly turned out by WWE this year. What do you think it will take for WWE to improve the creative? Thoughts? Be more fun and adventurous.
Don't play it so safe.
No. Furious with a 499. What's up, JD and Solo? I just want to say happy early Thanksgiving, and I'm grateful for everything you guys both do.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. Scott Original with a $5 super chat. Two blondes riding down the road. The blonde dryer asks blonde driver, you meant. Not dry, like she's in the fucking washer and dryer.
Where's this going?
The blonde driver asks the blonde passenger to check her blinkers, see if are both working. Her reply was yes, no, yes, no. No to that joke, Scott. Thank you for joining us. Joker Face with a 199. Guys' favorite years of wrestling: 90, 2000, 2010, or 2020? I'm going to go with 90.
We're talking wrestling in general, right?
Yes.
Not just WWE.
Yes.
90.
Yeah, 90. God forbid we go back to fucking 2020s. Oh, my God. Or 2010s. Imagine the early 2020 days, man, with fucking what we got there, man. The pandemic era. No, thank you. Never want to be that depressed ever again. Furious with a 499. 24 was good to WWE in wrestling, but 25 something just feels off. With WWE having a lot of future pieces, do you think they need Cena anymore? No, they don't need Cena. They just need better writing. Cena, you know it's time for him to go. And with the way WWE booked his last year, I don't really have any faith in them kind of fixing the mistakes that they made this year, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to miss Cena as far as these dates when they have him. They've been selling out.
Yeah.
They're not going to have that anymore after next month. They're going to have to rely on their own talent and coming up with shows that are exciting that people want to pay money to go see. So, selling out in Boston and Madison Square Garden and DC, that's cool. And they love Cena for it. But after that, he's gone. So they're going to have to come up with something else.
And don't forget all that sports-inspired merch for all the cities that they went to for John Cena. Not going to have that coming in either.
Yep.
Soka Power, the 2. Did Taker get heat for the injury spot to Shawn?
No, I never heard that.
No?
I mean, it was just a freak. It was a freak accident.
Yeah.
Kenny Clifford with a 10. Happy Thanksgiving, JD and Solo. Drinking a Psycho Cider, JD and Solo. Please bring back JD to hug. Thank you. We'll give it some more time, Kenny. I very much look forward to that. And I'm also drinking a Psycho Cider. I just bought a whole 12-pack on Amazon. Toya D with a 2. Hi, guys. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Well, we hope the same for you, Toya. Thank you. AJBZ 1994 with the new membership. Thank you, AJ. Bossmo Jackson with a 199 super chat section has me laughing for days. Furious Nation with a 499. Bruce needs to go. He's Vince 2.0. Even though Vince is out and Triple H is taking Vince's throne, someone like Heyman or Jericho, I think, should replace him. The company will never heal as long as Vince and his bloodline are still there. So yes, Bruce and the rest of them need to go completely. Emoji Matt with a 5. Welcome to Santa's Village, where it's Christmas every day, closed on Christmas. We got Hockey with a 4.99. JD, are you a Pokemon fan? And if you are, do you collect the cards? I play Pokemon Go every time I'm out and about on my phone, so yeah. I stopped collecting the cards, bro. I found that the scalpers and the fucking assholes who ruined the hobby have jumped the prices up for the cards so much that it's not even worth to buy a single pack. Like, you can't find a single Pokemon card pack for less than $15. It's ridiculous. They ruined the entire hobby. Emoji Matt with a 5. Oh, I'm in no condition to drive. Wait a minute. I don't have to listen to myself. I'm drunk. Are you actually speaking to us, or are you speaking to yourself?
I think based on the last couple of super chats of his, I think he might be legitimately drunk.
Possibly.
Which is great. I hope as long as you're not driving, I just have a good time, man. It's always good to hear from you, but just don't get behind the wheel of a car and pull a Tammy Sitch on us.
No. Furious Nation with a 4.99. Also, an update on my grandma. She made it through partial hip replacement surgery and is currently doing fine in rehab and hoping to be back home by Christmas. That is excellent news, brother.
It's great news.
Duffs with a 4.99. When did the dog say he sat on sandpaper? Rough.
When did he say?
That's what he says. When did the dog say when he sat on sandpaper? That's exactly what he said.
What did the dog say?
Well, he said when. I'm reading it. I'm reading it as it comes in. Normally, I'm the one that fucked him up. I didn't fuck it up there. Yes, rough. Emoji Matt with the $2 Super Chat. Serious. Whatever happened to Cheeks from TNA?
No idea.
Who the fuck is that? Cheeks. Who's that? Do I want to know?
I think that was from years ago.
Boss Mo Jackson with a 199. Little Cena versus Little Jimmy cage match. No more John Wiener. Beast Comatose with a 6.99. If you two had to choose a protein, sauce, 3 sides, drink, and a dessert for Thanksgiving, what would you choose?
Well, I'm a chicken guy, so that would be my protein source.
Yes. Same thing for me.
Sauce, I like gravy. Gravy with turkey. Gravy works with chicken too. So I mean, if that counts as a sauce, I'm not a cranberry sauce guy. I don't know about you.
No cranberry sauce. No.
I'll go with gravy, like turkey gravy. 3 sides. Got my noodle pudding, as I always love to talk about. I'm gonna pick that for all 3 sides. How about that? I'll just have 3 sides of noodle pudding
and a dessert.
Pecan pie.
I thought you were gonna say noodle pudding.
Sure, maybe I could do that on top of the pecan pie. People are always like, "What is this that you talk about? This noodle pudding? This like the name for it. It's called kugel." But like I was just always referring to it as noodle pudding because that's I don't know. That's just kind of what it looked like to me, and I started calling it that. But it looks like you cut slices and it's just noodles that are just sort of there's some cinnamon in it, but it's just noodles that are sort of. They look glued together almost, and it's fucking delicious. I love it.
I gotta try this noodle pudding. I don't.
Yeah, look up kugel. You'll see pictures of what it looks like. Kugel, I think.
Listen, just give me chicken parmesan with a nice antipasto and a side of spaghetti or angel hair, pasta, rigatoni, something, and then a drink. I probably have my Mad Elf from Trogs. And cheesecake for desserts. Just a plain, nice, tasty slice of New York cheesecake. That's it. Very simple. Duff Ziz with a 4.99. What did the icy road say to the car? Do you want to go for a spin? Demeter Bullion, Doggy with a 7.99. Listen, Solo, don't dog me, dog. Doggy woof woof. I'm going to dog you out, Papa. In the one you call big bad scary wolfy wolf, and you nothing but a tadpole, dog.
Well, listen, Demeter Bullion. You're not going to bully me around, okay? So you can come up with all the weird little comments you want to come up with here. I'm going to take your medication away from you. You're not going to be able to comment anymore, okay?
You ain't nothing but a tadpole, dog.
You and me, fucking tadpole. I'll take that tadpole, stick it up your ass. All right, you understand that?
Oh my God.
You and me, 1-on-1, baby. WrestleMania. Let's make it happen.
Arabian Night with his $6.99. Jada Parker is in the doghouse, question mark. Hasn't been seen in 2 months and not part of Iron Survivor this year. She's become a great promo, but something is up. Listen, I don't know. Let's fly to Orlando and go find Jada Parker and ask her ourselves, man. I have no idea. Yes, I hopefully she's prepped for something a lot bigger, man. Hopefully they start calling her up and a few others down there. Beat Cage with a $5 super chat. I fear WWE, man. Never takes risks as long as TK owns it. Ask Eater Peter with a 2. Will WWE ever pull the trigger on Orton and Cody's feud? Yeah, man, it's WrestleMania. They're thinking about WrestleMania. Could get it. We may get that, and then Roman versus Punk for the world title. And then let's see, this is it? This is the last one here. Furious Nation with a $4.99. And then we'll get out of here. 2 years ago today, CM Punk returned to WWE, and he's had no problem since. And it also would be karma if Heyman ever replaced Bruce as executive director. Well, he's been there already. Heyman was executive director of Monday Night Raw, and then he got removed for Bruce Pritchard. That was during the pandemic era when they were at the fucking Performance Center. Anyway, that's all we got for you, man. Thank you for the laughs. Thank you for the entertainment. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the discussion tonight. Survivor Series is on Saturday. Remember, Jason and I will be live after Survivor Series is over with our official post-show reviews. Continue to hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button on this channel. Go follow Jason on YouTube and on Twitter as well. Everything you need for him is linked down below in the description. And as always, I'm going to leave it to him to sound us off for another Tuesday.
Well, I just want to take a moment here to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I'm very thankful for all of your support, not just on my platform, but here on TNT. And we got a great community, great family here. So thank you for that. Happy Thanksgiving to JD as well. And we will see you back here, I guess, 123 of these next week, huh? Episode 123.
I know, 123 next week. And hopefully we got a lot to talk about next week. Survivor Series, like I said, hopefully it is a newsworthy show. And we'll have fun next week with that as we'll break it all down. Thank you guys very much again. Hit that thumbs up and leave a comment down below. You guys know the deal. Tomorrow night, Dynamite Continental Classic begins. And the road to World's End also begins in Chicago. Until then, guys, have a great night. We'll see you next week for 123 right here on TNT. See you guys later.